Chapter 3308. The Star-Lord had seen everything that the Feng people had done over the years. Normally, it was fine, but now, the Star-Lord's patience with the Feng people had almost reached its limit. As soon as he said this, Elder Masterblade felt his junior break out in cold sweat. Even a fool could tell that the Star-Lord was dissatisfied with the Feng people. The Star-Lord had already said that he had nothing to do with the Feng people. However, after all these years, the Feng people still used the Star-Lord's name to do many shameful things. Normally, the Feng people were even more arrogant. This was also why no one dared to provoke the Feng people all these years, even though the Feng people were not the strongest in the Fire Phoenix galaxy. They were not afraid of the Feng people, but of the Star-Lord behind the Feng people. However, the Feng people's self-righteous backer was already a little unhappy. In addition, Elder Masterblade had been on the Feng people's side all these years. Therefore, in many matters, Elder Masterblade would side with the Feng people. Elder Masterblade's legs went soft, and he directly knelt in front of the Star-Lord. He broke out in cold sweat as he spoke. "Sir, please spare my life. I know I was wrong. Forget it. I don't want to pursue the past. However, I don't want to see you have anything to do with the Feng people in the future. You have to understand that from the moment you followed me, you no longer have anything to do with the Feng people. You should learn more from Black Woman." After hearing the Star-Lord's words, Elder Masterblade nodded repeatedly. He did not dare to disobey in the slightest. Elder Masterblade understood that the reason Star-Lord said this was not only because of the Feng people, but also because Star-Lord was planning to release Phoenix. Otherwise, the Star-Lord would not have allowed Black Granny to oversee the central region and give her the right to make her own decisions. It seemed that because of the pressure from the Azure Dragon Galaxy, the Star-Lord wanted to borrow the power of Phoenix. Other things aside, Huang Yi was definitely a force that could not be ignored. But if that's the case, the Feng people. Sigh, I hope they won't do anything stupid. Otherwise, if she wasn't around, Black Matriarch and Huang Yi would be enough to make the Feng people suffer. He didn't dare to think about it anymore. At the same time, in the underground abyss's evil cave, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were discussing Huang Yi's matter in a room. To be honest, the decision to release Phoenix and help Phoenix escape was indeed difficult for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to make. "How is it? Have you thought about it?" Lin Yun looked at Xiao Chen and asked. In response, Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. "How can it be that easy? It's fine for you and me. Even if the Star-Lord blames us, the world is big. Where can't the two of us go? The most important thing is the safety of the people around us. After all, we are no longer alone." With so many considerations, Xiao Chen was never worried about himself, but about his family and friends. What Xiao Chen was most worried about was Qin Shuru and the others, as well as Xiao Qing and Bai Ruiyue, if they were in danger. Understanding Xiao Chen's meaning, Lin Yun also had the same concerns. People were like this. When they were alone, they had nothing to worry about, but once they had a home, they would have many worries. When making a decision, they would inevitably fall into a dilemma. They wanted to take a risk, but they were afraid of implicating the people around them. However, they wanted to settle down, but they were unwilling. After all, even if opportunities required risks, there was nothing in the world that could be said to be certain. For example, should they agree to Huang Yi's request? Or should they refuse? Just as the two of them were hesitating, a figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the underground abyss's evil cave. It was none other than Black Matron. Black Matron naturally came here to find Huang Yi. Moreover, she had already understood the meaning of the Star-Lord when he asked her to take charge of the central region. She didn't hide her aura. At the same time, Huang Yi, who was in the Phoenix, suddenly opened her eyes, and a hint of ridicule flashed in her eyes. "It's really lively. I didn't expect that my desolate place would welcome a distinguished guest." After saying that, Huang Yi didn't make any movements, but she disappeared in an instant. When she reappeared, she was already at the entrance, in front of Black Matron. In the face of Huang Yi's sudden appearance, Black Matron didn't change her expression at all, but Huang Yi said with a sneer. Isn't this the popular person by the Star-Lord's side? Why do you have time to come to our place today? Could it be that you were also punished by the Star-Lord? But thinking about it, no matter what, you still have the blood of my phoenix. But unfortunately, in the end, you are a traitor. Huang Yi naturally couldn't let go of the fact that Black Matron followed the Star-Lord back then. After all, in the end of the battle, the entire Phoenix was left with only two emperors, Huang Yi and Black Matron. But without any warning, Black Matron suddenly chose to defect to the Star-Lord and became a loyal dog under the Star-Lord. At that time, this made many Phoenix warriors extremely angry. They all thought that Black Matron was a traitor and a disgrace to Phoenix. Hearing Huang Yi's words, Black Matron didn't get angry, but just said a sentence lightly. You know what happened back then, I just wanted to protect Phoenix. Black Matron defected to the Star-Lord just to leave a little incense for Phoenix. After all, at that point in the battle back then, if the Star-Lord personally took action, Phoenix would definitely be destroyed, there was no doubt about that. Black Matron's defection was just to let the Star-Lord be merciful. And the Star-Lord did keep his promise and didn't kill Phoenix, but just trapped them in the Abyss Evil Cave. After not seeing each other for so many years, Huang Yi's expression changed slightly when he heard this, and finally turned into a sigh. Forget it, let's not talk about what happened back then. Tell me, what are you doing here? Let Phoenix go. Black Matron said bluntly. As soon as these words came out, even Huang Yi was a little stunned. After a while, he looked at Black Matron with a complicated expression. Are you crazy? Is this the Star-Lord's order? Her order? Knowing that it was the Star-Lord's order, Huang Yi quickly calmed down and pondered for a moment. Something happened outside? The war with the Azure Dragon Galaxy may break out. No wonder they were willing to release Phoenix. It turned out that war was about to break out. But Huang Yi didn't have much resistance to this, but when he thought about Phoenix's accident, Huang Yi remembered another interesting thing. He wondered what kind of expression the Feng people would have if they saw Phoenix's accident. What about the Feng people? Do they know? If the Feng people knew, they would definitely try their best to stop it, because they absolutely didn't want to see Phoenix escape. In this regard, Black Matron replied without changing her expression. They don't know yet. The Star-Lord went to the Western region, and so did Elder Master Bai. Right now, I'm the only one in charge of the Central region, and I can make all decisions on my own. Please add, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 3309. Black Matriarch said calmly. Hearing her words, Huang Yi suddenly laughed. He looked at Black Granny with a burning gaze. Huang Yi didn't hate this fellow clansman. Maybe he hated her before, but after so many years, Huang Yi was relieved. Of course, he didn't like her. In Huang Yi's eyes, Black Matriarch was more like a stranger. After laughing, Huang Yi said unhurriedly, It's been so many years, but you still like to play tricks. How could he not know that Black Matriarch's words just now were to test him? She told him that Star-Lord and Elder Master Bai were not here, and that Black Matriarch was finally in charge. If Huang Yi still had thoughts of revenge, he would definitely not be able to resist attacking the Feng people. Black Matriarch wanted to test whether he still had thoughts of revenge. If he did, then Black Matriarch probably wouldn't let Phoenix escape. Her thoughts were seen through by Huang Yi at a glance, but Black Matriarch didn't change her expression at all. Instead, she replied very calmly. I need to be responsible for the entire Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Right now, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy can't afford to have internal strife. This was Black Matriarch's true thoughts. The Azure Dragon Galaxy's movements were becoming more and more obvious. The war between the two galaxies was already like an arrow on the bow. At this time, if the Fire Phoenix Galaxy still had internal strife, it would only let the Azure Dragon Galaxy take advantage of it. Therefore, if Huang Yi still didn't give up on revenge, then even if Black Matriarch was a member of Phoenix, she wouldn't choose to release Phoenix. Because in Black Matriarch's eyes, compared to the entire Fire Phoenix Galaxy, Phoenix Galaxy was naturally more important. For this reason, Black Matriarch didn't hesitate to give up the entire Phoenix Galaxy in exchange for peace in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. But now it seemed that Huang Yi didn't have any thoughts of revenge and didn't have much hatred for the Feng people. This made Black Matriarch secretly relieved. As for how Huang Yi and the other clansmen of Phoenix saw her, Black Matron didn't care, or rather, there was no way to change it. From the moment she chose to follow the Star-Lord, she had already left Phoenix. Looking at the calm Black Matriarch, Huang Yi couldn't help but laugh. At the same time, he looked at the empty space behind Black Matriarch and sneered. "Come out, it's rare for you to come here. What's the point of hiding like this?" As Huang Yi's voice fell, two figures slowly appeared behind Black Matriarch. One was a young man, and the other was an old man. These two were definitely famous existences in the central region. They were the two great ancestors of the Sky Emperor Palace, Sky Splitter and Sky Wutian. In the entire fiery Phoenix Galaxy, if there was a power that was closest to the Star-Lord's Hall, then it was definitely the Sky Emperor Palace. Even the Phoenixes could only stay far away from the Heavenly Palace. Perhaps the Feng people in their heyday could be compared to the Sky Emperor Palace, but with the current strength of the Feng people, they were no match for the Sky Emperor Palace. This was because the Sky Emperor Palace had as many as 4 rulers, and each of them was an old monster who had lived for countless years. They were much stronger than Dong Huang and the others. Now that Black Matriarch had invited the two great ancestors of the Sky Emperor Palace, Sky Splitter and Sky Wutian, her meaning was self-evident. In their previous conversation, as long as Huang Yi made Black Matriarch feel that he was a threat to the fiery Phoenix Galaxy, then the three of them would join forces and kill him here. In an instant, he guessed what Black Matriarch was thinking, but Huang Yi sneered. "You want to kill me with just the 3 of you? Aren't you looking down on me too much?" Black Matriarch, Sky Splitter, and Sky Wutian were indeed very strong. Among the many rulers, they belonged to the top group. However, Huang Yi was now half a step away from being a ruler, so his cultivation was much higher than the 3 of them. Therefore, even if he was facing the siege of the 3 of them, Huang Yi was confident that he would win. At the same time, he sneered at Black Matriarch's thoughts. This guy had really been brainwashed by Star-Lord. Hearing Huang Yi's words, Black Matriarch did not refute him. She only said silently, "As I said, the fiery Phoenix Galaxy can no longer afford any chaos, so this is a decision that can't be helped. Alright, put away your disgusting words. Let's talk about something more practical. To be honest, I don't have any grudges against the Feng people, and I don't have to find trouble with the Feng people. However, I want one thing." "What is it?" "My Phoenix clan's land." Huang Yi did not have any obsession with revenge. Moreover, after the Phoenix escaped, it was understandable that he wanted to return to the Phoenix clan's land. It was nothing. In response, Black Matron nodded without any hesitation. "Okay, I promise you." Hearing Black Matriarch agree so readily, Huang Yi smiled. Black Matriarch probably still did not know the character of the Feng people. After the battle, the Phoenix clan's land had been taken away by the Feng people. It would not be so easy to take it back from the Feng people. However, what did this have to do with Huang Yi? When the time came, he would let Black Matriarch have a headache. In any case, if the Feng people did not hand over the Phoenix clan's land, Huang Yi would have a reason to attack the Feng people. As for Star-Lord, Huang Yi was not worried. At the moment, the fiery Phoenix Galaxy needed his help because without him, no one in the Azure Dragon Galaxy would be able to stop him. It could be considered a very smooth conversation. After it was settled, Black Matriarch spoke. "I'll undo the seal here now. There's no hurry. Before that, I still have some things to do." Black Matriarch was about to release Phoenix, but Huang Yi refused. Seeing this, Black Matriarch was a little puzzled, but Huang Yi smiled. "2 little fellows came to my Phoenix. I promised them that I would help them break through to the ruler realm. Now that Phoenix has escaped, the treasures that I've accumulated over the years should be given to those 2 little fellows." Huang Yi wanted to help Xiao Chen and Lin Yun break through to the ruler realm. Hearing this, Black Matriarch did not refuse. After all, if Xiaochen and Lin Yun could break through to the ruler realm, it would naturally be a good thing for the fiery Phoenix Galaxy. When the time came to face the Azure Dragon Galaxy, the fiery Phoenix Galaxy would also have stronger combat strength. This was a good thing. However, Huang Yi suddenly being so good to Xiaochen and Lin Yun still made Black Matriarch a little puzzled. After all, with Huang Yi's personality, he shouldn't be a good person, right? Looking at Black Matriarch's appearance, Huang Yi immediately knew what she was thinking and sneered. Don't use yourself to judge others. I'm not you, and I don't have as many choices and trade-offs as you do. I like these two brats, so I helped them. It's not as complicated as you think. His words were filled with ridicule, and he did not give Black Matriarch any face at all. Please collect, monthly vote, recommend. Chapter 33:10. Huang Yi didn't give Black Matriarch any face at all. However, after hearing his words, Black Matriarch didn't refute him. Black Matriarch knew that Huang Yi and even the entire Phoenix were resentful of her. Alright, you can come again after those two brats break through to the Emperor stage. Besides, I think you should go to the Feng people now. I don't want to be surrounded by the Feng people as soon as Phoenix is born. Huang Yi knew the nature of the Feng people too well. Especially now that the Star-Lord came from the Feng people, it made the Feng people even more arrogant. They always thought that they were the orthodox race of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy and the first race of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. And the Phoenixes definitely didn't want to see Phoenix be born. In their opinion, as a loser, Phoenix should be trapped in this abyss where there was no daylight and eventually dissipate in the long river of history. Therefore, it was indeed hard to say whether the Feng people would listen to Black Matriarch's words. Black Matriarch also understood this and frowned slightly. The Feng people indeed needed to make a trip there. Alright, then let's wait until Xiaochen and Lin Yun break through to the Emperor stage. Nodding, Black Matriarch turned around and left. She didn't have any intention of staying for long. After sending Black Matriarch, Shirtian, and Wutian away, Huang Yi smiled and shook his head. Then, he also disappeared on the spot. After returning to Phoenix, Huang Yi directly found Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Seeing Huang Yi coming, Xiaochen smiled bitterly. He thought that Huang Yi was here to ask about their decision, but before Xiaochen could speak, Huang Yi took the initiative to speak. Black Matriarch just came. You two don't have to worry about it. I, Phoenix, will be born on my own. And this is what the Star-Lord agreed to. He had no intention of deliberately making things difficult for Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Xiaochen and Lin Yun secretly heaved a sigh of relief. That was good. After all, offending the Star-Lord was indeed not something Xiaochen and Lin Yun wanted to see. Seeing the change in Xiaochen's expression, Huang Yi said seriously. I can still agree to the previous agreement. I respect Phoenix's abilities and help the two of you break through to become rulers. They did not need to do anything, and Huang Yi was even willing to help them break through to become rulers. As soon as he said that, Xiaochen and Lin Yun's first reaction was not joy, but doubt. If it were anyone else, they might be happy and excited, but Xiaochen and Lin Yun were only puzzled. After all, even a fool knew that the resources needed to break through to become a ruler were astronomical. However, Huang Yi was actually willing. Moreover, he did not need Xiaochen and Lin Yun to do anything. How was this possible? The two of them did not have a mysterious relationship with Huang Yi, let alone anything else. But why was Huang Yi willing to do this? Senior, what do you need? After thinking for a while, Xiaochen simply asked directly. In any case, he absolutely did not believe that Huang Yi would help the two of them for free. If there was such a possibility, why didn't he use it on his own people in Phoenix? Hearing Xiaochen's words, Huang Yi's expression did not change. He even smiled. What if I say that I don't have any requests and just want to help you? Senior, you must be joking. I'm afraid no one will believe you. Ha, that's right, that's right. If it were anyone else, they would have agreed long ago. I didn't misjudge the two of you. To be honest, I don't need you to do anything now. However, if Phoenix is in trouble in the future, I hope that the two of you can help and ensure the safety of Phoenix. Xiaochen and Lin Yun indeed did not have anything to help Phoenix now. After all, they were still too weak. However, Huang Yi valued their talents very much. Moreover, as long as he pushed Zhulang, Xiaochen and Lin Yun would definitely break through to become rulers. In this way, Xiaochen and Lin Yun would naturally have to repay this favor in the future. At the moment, Phoenix only had one ruler, Huang Yi. Although he was very strong, Phoenix was about to be born. The Feng people would definitely not stop easily. Of course, what worried Huang Yi even more was the Star-Lord's thoughts. At the moment, Star-Lord needed him, but what about in the future? Phoenix could no longer withstand the torment. Huang Yi did not want to see the day when Phoenix's clan was wiped out. Therefore, he needed to find some life-saving means for Phoenix. As for Xiaochen and Lin Yun, once they broke through to become rulers, they would be of help to Phoenix that could not be underestimated. To put it bluntly, Huang Yi's actions were more like an investment. An investment that was optimistic about Xiaochen and Lin Yun. After hearing Huang Yi's words, Xiaochen and Lin Yun understood and did not have much resistance in their hearts. After all, they had been invited, so they naturally had to give something in return. It was understandable that they would protect Phoenix at a critical moment. In addition, Huang Yi did not hide anything from the two of them, nor did he have any intention of coercing them. This made Xiaochen and Lin Yun have no reason to refuse. The two of us have accepted Phoenix's favor. Naturally, we should repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. Alright, since that's the case, the two of you can stay in Phoenix for now. I'll start preparing now. In order to let Xiaochen and Lin Yun break through to become rulers, Huang Yi naturally needed to make some preparations. In this regard, Xiaochen and Lin Yun both nodded in agreement. Here, Huang Yi, Xiaochen, and Lin Yun reached an agreement. On the other side, Black Granny, who had left the Earth Abyss's evil cave, rushed to the Feng people as soon as possible. However, facing Black Granny, the Feng people did not have much respect. In fact, they were very cold. The reason was naturally because of Black Granny's identity. After all, she was from Phoenix. Even though she had long followed the Star-Lord, in the eyes of the Feng people, they still did not have a good impression of her. It was precisely because of this that when Black Granny came, the two great ancestors of the Feng people did not appear. Even the patriarch of the Feng people did not appear. They only sent an elder. Moreover, this elder was one of the lower-ranked elders among the Feng people. He did not have much real power among the Feng people. It was clear that the Feng people looked down on Black Granny. Faced with the attitude of the Feng people, Black Granny was naturally unhappy. However, she had no choice but to speak to the elder. I want to see Feng Sheng. Feng Sheng was one of the great ancestors of the Feng people. Logically speaking, Feng Sheng would have to personally welcome a ruler like Black Granny. After all, the two of them were on the same level. This elder of the Feng people was simply not qualified to speak to Black Granny on an equal footing. However, facing Black Granny, the elder of the Feng people did not care at all. After hearing Black Granny's words, he said indifferently, "The great ancestors are in seclusion. They won't be able to come out for the time being." Seclusion? Even a ghost would not believe that. At this point, no matter how good Black Granny's temper was, no matter how much she wanted to endure, she could not help but be furious. Were the Feng people openly humiliating her? Did they really think that her cultivation as a ruler was just for show? Did they think that they could send her away by casually sending an elder out and saying such bullsh*t? Please collect, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 33:11. Black Matriarch snorted coldly with anger burning in her heart. Suddenly, a terrifying aura spread out. The Feng people's elder in front of her was directly sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Black Matron could endure for the sake of the overall situation, but as an emperor, she couldn't be ridiculed by just anyone. You're not worthy of smacking my lips in front of me. With a cold snort, Black Matron walked directly into the depths of the Fong people. Since the Fong people didn't want to give her face, then they shouldn't blame her. Black Matron hadn't gone far when one of the Fong people's ancestors appeared in front of her and blocked her way. "Black Matron, are you impudent in the Fong people?" "Oh, who is the impudent one?" "Everyone knows in their hearts. I'm only here today to inform you of one thing." Speaking of this, Black Matron didn't give the Fong people's ancestor a chance to reply. "The Star-Lord has decided to let the Phoenix be born. The Fong people need to hand over the former Phoenix clan's land. This is the Star-Lord's order. The Fong people better think carefully." The Fong people didn't give Black Matron any face. Naturally, Black Matron wouldn't give the Fong people any face. As soon as she finished speaking, the Fong people's ancestor's face instantly turned gloomy. What did this mean? How could the Star-Lord let the Phoenix be born? That was absolutely impossible. However, Black Matron didn't give him a chance to ask more questions. After she finished speaking, she turned and left. Anyway, she had said what she needed to say. How the Fong people chose was their business. Seeing Black Matron leave, the Fong people's ancestor's eyes became colder and colder, but he didn't explode directly. After all, they were old monsters who had lived for countless years. Not showing their emotions was a skill that they had practiced long ago. It was just that the news of the Phoenix being born was something that the Fong people's ancestor didn't expect. Snorting coldly, he also turned around and left, returning to the forbidden area of the Fong people. The other ancestor of the Fong people, the old woman, asked calmly, "The birth of Phoenix? Is this really an order from the Star-Lord?" The old woman naturally heard what Black Matron said before. After a brief moment of anger, she instinctively didn't believe that this was an order from the Star-Lord. After all, the Star-Lord was a member of the Fong people. Although he had already said that he no longer had any relationship with the Fong people, this was a blood connection. It wasn't something that could be changed with just one sentence. Therefore, in the eyes of the Fong people, no matter what, the Star-Lord was a part of the Fong people, and the Fong people had the Star-Lord overseeing them. They were the #1 race in the Fire Phoenix galaxy. This was also the source of Fong people's sense of superiority. Hearing the old woman's words, the old man was silent for a moment before asking in confusion, "You're saying that Black Granny gave false orders?" "That's not the case, but is it really that important? As long as we think it's false, then it's false. True or false wasn't important." Once these words came out, it was self-evident what the old woman was thinking. However, the old man who was familiar with her character knew that this old woman clearly wasn't just thinking about this. Stop the birth of Phoenix? Why do we need to stop it? Since the Phoenix wants to be born, we'll give it this opportunity. Now, only Huang Yi is the ruler of the Phoenix. Although he is strong, we Fong people are not without means. We can use this opportunity to get rid of the Fong people in one fell swoop. After all, even if it has been trapped for so many years, the Phoenix is still a big problem. You must know that the spring wind can't burn away all the weeds. Sure enough, this old woman didn't want to stop the birth of Phoenix at all. Instead, she wanted to use this opportunity to eliminate the entire Phoenix in one fell swoop. Speaking of this, the old woman paused for a moment and then continued. Now that the Star-Lord isn't here, only Black Granny is in charge of the central region. As for the people in the palace of the Star-Lord, other than Tian Tai, I'm afraid that no one will interfere with the matters between the Fong people and the Phoenix. So this is a good opportunity. Even if we have to use our trump cards, we must eliminate the Phoenix directly. This old woman really had a big appetite. However, the old man didn't refute her words. After all, if there was a chance to eliminate the Phoenix, it would be a good thing for the Fong people. However, the old man still had some worries in his heart. He wasn't afraid of the Phoenix's strength. After all, the Fong people had been here for so many years. They couldn't be as simple as they seemed on the surface. Although the Star-Lord had never taken care of the Fong people had still developed a lot over the years. It could be said that they had made up for some of the losses caused by the war back then. However, what if this order was really given by the Star-Lord? She wasn't afraid of anything else but the Star-Lord. If the Fong people really destroyed the Phoenix so blatantly, the Star-Lord would definitely blame them, and it would definitely not be a small matter. Regarding this, the old woman replied confidently. Didn't I say just now? Is it that important whether it's true or not? The Star-Lord isn't in the central region now. Even if it's true, when the time comes, we can just casually frame the Phoenix with a crime. Would the Star-Lord make things difficult for us for a group of dead people? No matter what, the Fong people were of the same lineage as the Star-Lord. Moreover, who would care about a group of dead people? Would the Star-Lord punish the Fong people who were of the same lineage as him for a group of dead people? Moreover, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy needed the strength of the Fong people because every ruler was crucial to deal with the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Hearing this, the old man thought for a moment and nodded slightly. Indeed, in this case, the Star-Lord would definitely not punish the Fong people. After hearing what the old woman said, the old man also felt that this was an opportunity. In the past, although the Phoenix had been trapped in the evil abyss by the Star-Lord and seemed to be imprisoned, it was actually a kind of protection. Otherwise, how could the Fong people have allowed the Phoenix to exist for so many years without making a move? It was because the Fong people had no chance at all in the evil abyss. Now that the Phoenix was about to be born, this was a great opportunity for the Fong people. As long as they handled it well, they could destroy the Phoenix in one fell swoop. It's just that we can't be careless about this matter. After all, Huang Yi is very strong. It'll probably be difficult for the two of us to gain any advantage. Even if we use our trump cards, we'll need to prepare well and have enough time. Although he and the Phoenix people were mortal enemies, the old man still showed enough respect to Huang Yi. After all, his strength was beyond that of a ruler. Although he had not reached the level of the Star-Lord, he was far from being comparable to an ordinary ruler. I've thought of this a long time ago. I've even prepared the grave of the Phoenix people for them. Oh? Where is it? Hearing the old woman's words, the old man was immediately interested. If they were really fully prepared, then everything would be easy. Even if it was Huang Yi, they would be able to use some special methods to kill him. The land of the Phoenix people. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:12. The Phoenix Clan's Land. This was the grave that the old woman had chosen for the Phoenix. Although the old man hesitated for a moment, he quickly reacted. That's right, the Phoenix Clan's land was indeed the best choice, and there was enough time to prepare. In addition, with the birth of the Phoenix Clan, they would definitely want more territory that once belonged to their clan. Therefore, even if Huang Yi had guessed something, he still had to go to the Phoenix Clan's land. There was no need to worry about the awkward situation of setting a trap but not having the prey. It had to be said that the Phoenix Clan's land was indeed chosen perfectly. The old man immediately nodded and said with a smile. Very good. This way, we can have no scruples. Even if Huang Yi knows that this is a trap, he has no choice. Then we can prepare. Yes, sure. The two great ancestors of the Fong people already had a plan in their hearts. Naturally, they would not let the Phoenix Clan's land be born just like that. Since it was going to be born, they would directly destroy the entire Phoenix Clan and end all troubles. They would completely end the battle between the Phoenix Clan and the Fong people. The Fong people had already begun to take action. On the other side, in the Earth Abyss's evil cave, Huang Yi had also prepared the things that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun needed to break through. Within the forbidden land of the Phoenix Clan, there was a cave. The cave contained a rich power of the origin of laws. Moreover, there were two spiritual pools in the cave. These spiritual pools were created by Huang Yi after spending countless resources. After bringing Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to the cave, Huang Yi said calmly, "If it were anyone else, I reckon that these things wouldn't be able to help them break through to become a ruler. However, for the two of you, it should be enough. With your current cultivation bases, you're only a step away from becoming a ruler. The current Phoenix was indeed very different from the past. If the Phoenix of the past had really used the power of the entire race, it was estimated that it would have been able to steadily create a ruler. However, the current Phoenix could not do it. This was also why after so many years, Huang Yi was still the only king in Phoenix. Because they had been in the underground abyss all this time, it was difficult for Phoenix and the others to improve their strength. No one was like Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, who were only one step away from breaking through to become rulers. Therefore, even if these resources were given to the Phoenix people, it would be useless. They could not break through to become rulers at all. Hearing Huang Yi's words, Xiao Chen said, "Thank you, Senior. Regardless of whether I make a breakthrough or not, my promise to you is still valid." Whether he could make a breakthrough or not, Xiao Chen had expressed his gratitude to Phoenix. Hearing this, Huang Yi smiled with satisfaction. "Don't worry. As long as the two of you don't make any mistakes, I'll definitely be able to help you break through to become rulers. Because other than these resources, I'll personally stay behind to help the two of you break through." These resources were very important, but the one who could really help Xiao Chen and Lin Yun break through was still Huang Yi. What was Huang Yi's cultivation base? He was already one step away from becoming a ruler. If he personally helped Xiao Chen and Lin Yun break through to become rulers, this was definitely enough to make countless people envious. In this regard, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun cupped their hands and thanked him. Naturally, they would not refuse. Soon, according to Huang Yi's instructions, the two of them sat cross-legged in the spiritual pool. Huang Yi also sat cross-legged behind them with his eyes closed. A faint power of loss spread out around his body. This was Huang Yi's power of loss. He used his power of loss to guide Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to break through. This would definitely be of great help to their breakthroughs. The cave quickly quieted down. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun also began to try to break through to become rulers. On this side, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had begun their final sprint for becoming rulers. As for the palace of the Star Lord, after Black Matriarch left the Feng people, it was naturally impossible for her to do nothing. In fact, Black Matriarch knew very well that the Feng people would not give up just like that. Therefore, she had always had people keep a close eye on the Feng people. Black Matriarch found out that the Feng people had been making a fuss about the Phoenix clan's territory recently. Because of the Feng people's blockade, she did not know exactly what the Feng people wanted to do. Nevertheless, Black Matriarch only needed to think about it to guess that the Feng people wanted to make a move on Phoenix. These guys really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth at all. Do they take the orders of the Star-Lord's palace as wind? So far, she had told the Feng people's ancestor that the birth of the Phoenix was an order of the Star-Lord. However, the Feng people still did not choose to give up. They were making a move on the Phoenix clan's territory. Were they trying to destroy the Phoenix clan? Thinking of this, Black Matriarch's eyes unconsciously flashed with a hint of coldness. The Feng people were really too arrogant. However, Black Matriarch could do nothing about the Feng people at the moment. She was the ruler of the Star-Lord's palace and had been ordered by the Star-Lord to guard the central region and had the right to make her own decisions. However, would the Feng people care about this? Black Matriarch had no choice but to contact the Star-Lord and tell him the truth. Being in the western region, the Star-Lord's mouth, which was hidden behind the hazy divine light, curled up slightly when he received the contact from Black Matriarch, revealing a faint smile. "Sir Star-Lord, what should we do about the Feng people? If this continues, once the Phoenix is born, there will be a war between the two clans. In my opinion, it would be better to postpone the birth of the Phoenix." Hearing Black Matriarch's words, the Star-Lord asked with a smile, full of interest. "Black Matriarch, are you from Phoenix?" "Indeed, but from the moment I chose to serve you, Black Matriarch is no longer a Phoenix. Now, I only consider the Fire Phoenix Galaxy." In order to stabilize the situation, Black Matriarch even chose to postpone the birth of the Phoenix. The Star-Lord was very satisfied with Black Matriarch's performance. Unlike Elder Master Bai, Black Matriarch really knew what she should do. Unlike Elder Master Bai, who had been secretly colluding with the Feng people. There's no need for that. The birth of the phoenix will continue. But, if she did not stop the birth of the phoenix, there would be a war between the two clans. This was something Black Matriarch absolutely did not want to see. But before she could say anything, the Star-Lord directly interrupted her. I have to make a decision on this matter. You just have to follow my orders. Since even the Star-Lord said so, Black Matriarch had no choice but to listen to the Star-Lord's orders. After receiving the Star-Lord's orders, Black Matriarch did not pay attention to the Feng people anymore. Although she did not know what the Star-Lord meant by doing this, Black Matriarch did not dare to disobey. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, several months passed. In the Abyss's evil cave, inside the Phoenix, two terrifying auras continued to come from the Forbidden Cave for a long time. This was a sign that they were about to break through, and they were about to break through to the Emperor realm. Needless to say, the owners of these two auras were naturally Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. After several months, the two of them finally reached the critical point of breaking through. They could really take the last step at any time. Please collect, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 33:13. This time, the closed-door cultivation went very smoothly. The main reason was naturally because Huang Yi had spared no effort to help them. Ever since the closed-door cultivation began, Huang Yi had never left Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's side. He used his own strength to guide Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to break through. They had already reached the limit of the Warlord Ancestor realm. With the help of Huang Yi, who was half a step away from transcending the ruler realm, breaking through was almost a matter of course. Another 3 days passed. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's auras suddenly shook. They had both crossed the Warlord Ancestor realm in one fell swoop and broke through to become rulers. They had finally broken through to become rulers. The power in their bodies soared crazily, and their auras were also raised to the extreme. Sensing that they had successfully broken through, Huang Yi slowly opened his eyes. A hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. They had just broken through to become rulers, but judging from their auras, they were so powerful. It did not seem like they had just broken through. In fact, from Huang Yi's point of view, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's strength was probably enough to contend with some veteran rulers. They might even be stronger than them. They were really two freaks. The reason for this was firstly because their foundations were very deep and vigorous. Secondly, it had something to do with their talents. Nonetheless, the stronger Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were, the better it would be for Phoenix. Huang Yi was also more satisfied. After a few days, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had completely consolidated their cultivation bases. Nevertheless, at this moment, the sky above Phoenix had long been enveloped by dark clouds. This was a sign of the arrival of the heavenly punishment. After Xiao Chen and Lin Yun left their cultivation, Huang Yi immediately scolded them with a smile. Go quickly. Phoenix can't withstand the heavenly punishment of a ruler. If this heavenly punishment were to descend in Phoenix, it would definitely be a disaster. Therefore, Huang Yi directly asked Xiao Chen and Xiao Chen to stay away. In response, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun smiled and nodded. They immediately left where Phoenix was and found a place where no one was around. They began to deal with heavenly punishment, which was a ruler. With the strength displayed by Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, Huang Yi was not worried about their safety at all. The two of them had such strength as soon as they broke through. It was child's play for them to pass through heaven's punishment. Walking out of the cave again, Huang Yi had also consumed a lot of energy to help Xiao Chen break through. However, before Huang Yi could breathe a sigh of relief, a few Phoenix elders arrived and one of them spoke. Ancestor, that black woman is here again. Hearing this, Huang Yi nodded and quickly arrived at the main hall. As expected, he saw the black woman here. No one went to greet her. After all, not many people in Phoenix liked the black woman. The black woman had long been used to this. When she saw Huang Yi, she directly expressed her purpose for coming. Those two brats have broken through? Yes. That's about time. It's time for Phoenix to be born. the black woman naturally came here because of the birth of Phoenix. This time, Huang Yi did not refuse and only said with a faint smile. Have you discussed it with the Feng people? They won't be that obedient, right? It was as if she had long guessed what the black woman would encounter in the Feng people. Hearing this, the black woman's expression did not change, and she still spoke calmly. Be careful of the Feng people, especially in the Phoenix clan's territory. The Feng people would not listen to her, and since the Star-Lord had already given the order, the black woman only needed to act according to the order. However, the black woman still reminded Huang Yi. In this regard, Huang Yi laughed. You don't have to say it. I can guess it. How can the Feng people be so obedient? Don't underestimate the Feng people. Although the Feng people also suffered a lot in the battle back then, after so many years, the Feng people have also recovered a little. It's definitely not as simple as it seems on the surface. The royal family was trapped in the Abyss Evil Cave. In terms of foundation, they definitely did not have, but the Feng people were different. However, did Huang Yi not have a backup plan? Obviously not. From the first time the black woman came, Huang Yi had already thought about everything and knew that this would be the situation. Seeing that Huang Yi did not have any intention to talk to her, the black woman said to herself. It will take at least half a month to unlock the seal. You should prepare well. After saying that, without waiting for Huang Yi to reply, the black woman left. The black woman went to touch the seal. 3 days later, Xiao Qin and Lin Yan successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and returned to Phoenix. The two of them immediately went to see Huang Yi. Of course, they also saw Huang Lin. Looking at Xiao Qin and Lin Yan, who were safe and sound, Huang Yi said with a smile. Not bad. Your foundation and talent have exceeded my expectations. It's indeed rare to have such combat strength as soon as you break through to the ruler realm. Senior, you're exaggerating. What do we need to do next? Xiao Qin did not show much excitement at Huang Yi's words. Instead, he replied very calmly. Oh, how did you know? They had just broken through, but Xiao Qin had already guessed that Huang Yi needed the two of them to make a move. This was interesting. In fact, this was not difficult to guess. Xiao Qin and Lin Yan had long known that Phoenix was about to be born. Based on their current understanding, how could the Feng people let Phoenix be born so easily? At the moment, Huang Yi was the only ruler in Phoenix. Even with Tian Tai, there were only two of them. Moreover, it was not certain whether Tian Tai could make a move or not. Therefore, no matter how strong Huang Yi was, it would be difficult for him to contend against the Feng people. Therefore, Xiao Qin and Lin Yan were very important. This was also why Huang Yi had to wait until Xiao Qin and Lin Yan broke through to the ruler realm before he chose to be born. He had thought of this from the beginning. In this regard, Xiao Qin did not resist. He had taken benefits from Huang Yi and given his favor, so he naturally had to return the favor. I won't hide it from you. I do need you to make a move. Huang Yi straightforwardly admitted it and continued. If I'm not wrong, the Feng people have already set up a trap in the Phoenix clan's territory. They're just waiting for the Phoenix to take the bait. However, I have no choice. That's the Phoenix clan's territory. Even if I know that the Feng people have set a trap, I still have to go. Although I'm not afraid of the Feng people's great ancestors, it's difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. I need the two of you to at least help me stop the two rulers of the Feng people. Don't the Feng people only have two great ancestors? Xiao Qin asked in confusion. It was not that he was afraid of the Feng people's great ancestors, but he was a little puzzled. In response, Huang Yi smiled and shook his head. Two great ancestors. You're still underestimating the Feng people. After so many years of development, how can the Feng people only have two rulers? Moreover, the strength of any force on the surface can never be trusted. After all, who doesn't have a trump card? This is often the most crucial strength. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:14. The Phoenixes only have two great ancestors who are rulers. This was obviously impossible. Only a fool would believe it. Putting everything else aside, based on what Huang Yi knew, the Feng people had at least 2 rulers hidden. However, these 2 rulers had suffered serious injuries in the great battle back then. It was almost impossible to heal them. Therefore, they must have used some kind of method to seal themselves to prevent their lives from flowing away. They were a great foundation of the Feng people. Based on Huang Yi's understanding of the Feng people, if they could destroy Phoenix, the Feng people would not hesitate to use such a trump card. After all, Phoenix was the greatest threat to the Feng people. As long as Phoenix was dealt with, the Feng people could be said to have gotten rid of a great threat. Hearing Huang Yi's words, Xiaochen and Lin Yan both nodded in agreement. In any case, the 2 of them only needed to make a move. As for how they would do it, it was still up to Huang Yi. Alright, you guys have a good rest. Once Phoenix is born, it won't be so easy. Okay. The seal had not been opened yet. It would take half a month. Just as Black Granny was breaking the seal, in the Phoenix clan's territory, the Feng people had already made preparations. Just the formations alone were carved with hundreds of them, and their grades were all low. In order to carve these formations, the Feng people had taken out a lot of resources. Even the Emperor Dong's palace would find it difficult to take out these resources. The formations are almost completed, but the most important one, the Evil Moon Towering Sky Formation, still needs some time. Yes. At this moment, the 2 great ancestors of the Feng people were personally supervising the carving of the formation. The old woman spoke with an indifferent expression. The Evil Moon Towering Sky Formation was specially prepared for Huang Yi. It could be said to be one of the highest level formations in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. To carve this formation, at least 10 formation masters at the War Ancestor realm would be needed at the same time. For this, the Feng people naturally paid a huge price and invited more than 10 formation masters. However, even so, the carving of the Evil Moon Towering Sky Formation was still very complicated and had not been completed yet. However, the Evil Moon Towering Heaven Grand Formation was indispensable. After all, it was a spirit formation used to deal with Huang Yi. It could trap Huang Yi for at least an hour, which was enough for the Feng people to do a lot of things. Hearing the old woman's words, the old man at the side said without too much worry. According to the news, Granny Black only entered the underground abyss yesterday, and it will take her at least half a month to break the seal of the underground abyss. There is still time. If the Star-Lord were to intervene, he would probably be able to break the seal on the Abyss Evil Cavern in no time. But if Black Matron were to make a move, it would take time. Even if she knew how to break the seal, she had to do it step by step. This gave the Feng people enough time. They didn't have to worry about not having enough time to complete the Evil Moon Soaring Heaven array. The old woman didn't say anything about this. There is also the Forbidden Area. If we awaken them, we might not be able to seal it this time. The old woman was talking about the other ancestors of the Feng people. These ancestors were all seriously injured in the battle back then, so they had no choice but to seal themselves. However, every time they were awakened, it would consume a lot of their vitality. Once their vitality was depleted, in addition to their previous injuries, it was very likely that they would die. The old man didn't say anything about this. In order to successfully destroy Phoenix, this was necessary. With just the 2 of them, even with the Evil Moon Soaring Heaven array, they didn't dare to say that they could deal with Huang Yi. Therefore, some price had to be paid. Okay, we have prepared everything. Now we just need to wait for the fish to take the bait. They had prepared everything that could be done. Next, they just needed to wait for Phoenix to come out. The Feng people were already fully prepared. They planned to have a final end with Phoenix. Wasn't Huang Yi the same? Huang Yi had also prepared for the upcoming battle with the Feng people. The hatred between the 2 clans for so many years seemed to be completely resolved this time. Time passed day by day. The Feng people were very calm during this period. Even the people outside the evil abyss had withdrawn. This was because there was no need to let people guard it anymore. Anyway, once Phoenix came out, she would definitely return to the clan's land. The Foam people only needed to wait in the Phoenix clan's land. They didn't need to do anything else. Concentrate their strength and wait for the rabbit to come out. This was the strategy of the Foam people. Half a month passed in a flash. On this day, waves of fluctuations suddenly came from the entrance of the evil abyss. This was a sign that the seal was about to be broken. In half a month, Black Matron had indeed successfully broken the seal of the evil abyss. Waves of fluctuations came out. Then, an inexplicable force instantly erupted and quickly dissipated. This was the power of the Star-Lord. The power used to trap the Foam people. Now, it had completely disappeared. Without the existence of this power, the evil abyss instantly became an ordinary small world. The Phoenix could also enter and leave the evil abyss freely. Soon, the group of royal family members came to the outside world through the entrance. For the younger generation like Huang Lin, this was the first time they had left the evil abyss. Therefore, they were all very excited. They had been curious about the outside world for a long time. At this moment, they saw the starry sky outside the central region. They were all very excited. Xiaochen, Lin Yun, is this the Fire Phoenix Galaxy? It is really different from the evil abyss. There is no starry sky in the evil abyss. Since he was young, this was the first time Huang Lin had seen the starry sky. How could he not be excited? In this regard, Xiaochen and Lin Yun only smiled and nodded. They did not say anything. They had succeeded in escaping. However, if the Phoenix wanted to gain a foothold in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, it was only the beginning. Moreover, it was far from as easy as they had imagined. Looking at the situation, there was actually no Foam people. Could it be that the Foam people had tacitly agreed to the birth of the Phoenix? This was absolutely impossible. Xiaochen, Lin Yun, and Huang Yi all knew that the reason why the Foam people did not appear at the entrance of the evil abyss was because they had concentrated their forces in the Phoenix clan. They were only waiting for the Phoenix people to take the initiative to come. At that time, the war between the two clans would erupt. Whether the Phoenix could successfully gain a foothold in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy and the central region would depend on this war. As they spoke, Huang Yi also left the evil abyss. A group of Phoenix clan elders followed behind him. Looking at the empty starry sky, Huang Yi sneered. They are still the same as before. They only know how to use some despicable methods. Huang Yi was naturally talking about the Foam people. They did not dare to fight head-on. They only knew how to use some tricks to lure him into the trap. This made Huang Yi look down on the Foam people's actions. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:15. They knew what the Foam people wanted to do, but the Phoenix had no choice. Even if they knew that the Foam people had an ambush in the Phoenix clan land, the Phoenix still had to go. After all, it was impossible for them to give up their own clan land. Everyone knew this very well. Standing next to Huang Yi, Black Matriarch said hesitantly. Actually, you can temporarily hide from the wind. Just wait for the Star-Lord to come back. Black Matriarch didn't want to see Phoenix and Foam people go to war. Moreover, as long as they waited for the Star-Lord to come back, with the Star-Lord there, the Foam people wouldn't dare to act without permission. However, after hearing Black Matriarch's words, Huang Yi sneered. Star-Lord? You're still thinking too simply. Huang Yi directly rejected Black Matriarch's proposal, and then turned to look at a Phoenix clan elder next to him. You take people to the White Rock continent to find Tian Tai. Yes, yes. Old ancestor, hearing this, the clan elder was a little puzzled. Shouldn't they go back to the clan first? Why go to the White Rock continent? Some didn't understand Huang Yi's thoughts, but Huang Yi didn't give the clan elder a chance to refuse. He waved his hand and directly interrupted Huang Yi. Just do it, there's no need to say anything else. Since Huang Yi had spoken, even if he didn't understand, the clan elder still closed his mouth. Soon, under the leadership of several clan elders, the Phoenix group also headed in the direction of the White Rock continent. Xiaochen gave his spatial spirit boat to them. After all, it was more convenient to travel with the spatial spirit boat. As the Phoenix group left, only Huang Yi, Xiaochen, Lin Yun, and Black Matriarch were still here. They also looked at Huang Yi with a puzzled expression. Black Matriarch was puzzled. What do you want to do? Facing Black Matriarch's question, Huang Yi smiled slightly. Ask your Star Lord. She knows. Huang Yi didn't answer Black Matron's question. Without waiting for Black Matron's reply, she left with Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Xiaochen and Lin Yun followed Huang Yi and left with Black Matriarch, leaving Black Matriarch standing there in a daze. What was Huang Yi trying to do? Also, does the Star-Lord know about this? What did he mean? After thinking about it, Black Matriarch finally contacted Star-Lord, who was in the western region. My lord, Phoenix has already left the Abyss Evil Cave. However, Huang Yi ordered all of his clansmen to go to the White Rock continent to look for Tiantai while he himself left with Xiaochen and Lin Yun. She told the Star-Lord the truth. After listening to Black Matron, the Star-Lord wasn't as angry or unhappy as she had imagined. There was even a light chuckle. This guy is still not easy to deal with. Well, you don't have to worry about the rest. Just treat it as compensation for what happened back then. Compensation for what happened back then? Hearing Star-Lord's words, Black Matriarch became more and more confused. What were the Star-Lord and Huang Yi thinking? And, what happened back then? Was it the war between Phoenix and the Feng people? Or was it the matter of Phoenix being trapped in the Abyss Evil Cave? But how does the Star-Lord want to compensate? She couldn't understand. Unfortunately, the Star-Lord obviously didn't mean to answer Black Matriarch's question. As soon as his voice fell, he ended the call. In the western region, in the Western Royal Palace, the Star-Lord sat cross-legged in the palace and looked at the stars outside the palace. There was an interested smile on his face, which was hidden behind the hazy spiritual power. Huang Yi was still the same Huang Yi. He knew what he was thinking. Since that was the case, he would let the Phoenix people go this time. The Star-Lord didn't care about Huang Yi's actions. On the other side, he left with Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Xiaochen asked curiously. Senior, where are we going now? The Phoenix clan's land. 3 people dared to go to the Phoenix clan's land. Hearing this, even Xiaochen and Lin Yun didn't expect it. The Phoenix clan's land was now a dragon's pool and a tiger's den. The Feng people definitely emptied their family's resources and set up an inescapable net in the Phoenix clan's land. 3 people going? Isn't it a bit too much? Seeing the worry in Xiaochen and Lin Yun's hearts, Huang Yi said with a chuckle. It's still the same as what we agreed on before. The 2 of you only need to stop the 2 emperors of Phoenix. Leave the rest to me. The 3 of them went forward. Huang Yi still didn't increase the burden on Xiaochen and Lin Yun's lives. As long as they could each stop 1 emperor of the Feng people, it would be fine. Xiaochen and Lin Yun naturally wouldn't say anything about this. However, the 2 of them still didn't understand what Huang Yi was thinking. Could it be that the 3 of them planned to fight against the entire Feng people? Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Only Huang Yi didn't seem nervous at all. He even reminded the 2 of them. By the way, the 2 of you still have to think of a way to kill the patriarch of the Feng people. After all, I heard from Tiantai that you have made a heavenly oath. If you don't fulfill it, it will be very difficult in the future. The heavenly oath couldn't be violated, so Huang Yi reminded them. In response, Xiaochen and Lin Yun both nodded. While the 3 of them were rushing to the Phoenix clan's territory, a group of Feng people was already prepared in the Phoenix clan's territory. This time, the Feng people had indeed come out in full force. Moreover, all the people who came here were the elite powerhouses of the Feng people. The weakest person's cultivation was at least at the Divine Ancestor realm. Although there weren't many people, only a few hundred of them, their cultivation wasn't weak at all. The 2 great ancestors of the Feng people also knew that in such a battle, those with insufficient cultivation were almost useless. Other than being cannon fodder, they were meaningless. Therefore, instead of having so many people, it was better to bring out all the elites. This way, it would be easier for them to perform. At this time, a group of Feng people's powerhouses were hiding in various places of the Phoenix clan's territory. Among them, the two great ancestors were on a small mountain peak. From there, they could see the entire Phoenix clan's territory. As a former big clan, the Phoenix clan's territory was a large star island. They should be here soon, right? No hurry. There's no news yet, but they will definitely come. The two great ancestors said confidently. They weren't worried that the Phoenix wouldn't come at all. At the same time, there were two old figures sitting cross-legged behind the two great ancestors. These two were also the great ancestors of the Feng people. However, they were seriously injured and in a state of dying. Usually, the two of them were in a deep sleep and didn't know what was happening in the outside world. They were like living dead. This time, in order to eliminate the Phoenix without any accidents, the Feng people also invited them out. Although the two great ancestors hadn't been woken up yet, they could be woken up in an instant as long as there was a need. Of course, given their current states, they could unleash the combat power of a ruler after being woken up. However, after the battle, they would probably be exhausted. This also meant that the Feng people would lose a big trump card. Even so, if they could really eliminate the Phoenix clan, everything would be worth it. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:16. In order to subdue Phoenix, the Feng people had put in a lot of effort this time. However, they definitely didn't expect that Phoenix didn't come at all. Only Huang Yi brought Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to the Phoenix clan's land. As for the other phoenixes, they had already gone to the White Rock continent. There had been no news of Phoenix for a long time, and the Feng people gradually began to become a little impatient. In one place, the Feng people's patriarch and several elders gathered. One of them looked at the patriarch worriedly. Patriarch, it's been 3 days, and there's still no news from Phoenix. Could it be that Phoenix has given up? Impossible. This is the Phoenix clan's land. Even if they know that we have set up an ambush here, they will definitely come. Compared to the others' worries, the Feng people's patriarch was still somewhat calm. He knew that Phoenix would definitely come. They would never give up their clan's land. This was an open conspiracy. Even if Phoenix knew about it, there was no way to resolve it, except for a battle. Therefore, the Feng people's patriarch wasn't worried at all. It was just a matter of time. Hearing the patriarch's words, the elders didn't say anything more. Since the patriarch said so, they had nothing to say. The group of Feng people's experts continued to wait. Another 2 days passed. It was already the 5th day since Phoenix was born. Just when everyone thought that Phoenix wouldn't appear today, suddenly, 3 figures appeared in the sky above the Phoenix clan's land. The 3 of them were none other than Xiao Chen, Lin Yun, and Huang Yi. There was no news from the front at all. However, thinking about it, how could the ordinary Feng people detect the whereabouts of Xiao Chen and the other 2? If all the people from Phoenix came, the Feng people would definitely know in advance. However, if Huang Yi and the other 2 came, it would be very difficult for the Feng people to find out their whereabouts. The 2 ancestors of the Feng people, who were still sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak, looked at the 3 people in the sky at this moment. Both of them suddenly stood up and said in surprise, "Huang Yi." They were naturally not unfamiliar with Huang Yi. Even if this fellow turned into ashes, the 2 of them would still be able to recognize him. Without thinking too much, the old woman immediately shouted, "Quick, activate the evil moon towering heaven formation." Without any preparation, Huang Yi and the other 2 appeared here. The old woman did not hesitate to activate the evil moon ascension great formation. As the old woman's voice fell, a huge black light shield suddenly rose from the ground. The evil moon ascension great formation was directly activated and instantly enveloped Huang Yi, Xiao Chen, and Lin Yun. Seeing that the evil moon ascension great formation did not have any accidents and successfully trapped Huang Yi and the other 2, the old woman heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there were no accidents at the beginning. At the same time, the experts of the Feng people who were hiding in the surroundings also appeared one after another and instantly surrounded Xiao Chen and the other two. They glanced at them coldly through the formation. The old woman and the old man were the last to appear. When they arrived in front of Huang Yi, they found that Huang Yi's face did not change at all despite being enveloped by the evil moon ascension great formation. For a moment, the two of them unconsciously frowned slightly. Things were a little strange. Why were there only Huang Yi and the other two? Where were the other Phoenix people? Where did they go? Huang Yi, what do you mean by this? The old man looked at Huang Yi coldly and asked. In response, Huang Yi sneered. As you can see. Do you mean that the three of you alone dare to contend with the Feng people? As he spoke, the old man looked at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun at the side. Naturally, he recognized them at a glance. Moreover, he could see that the two of them had broken through to become rulers, but so what? Even if they were three rulers, the Feng people were fully prepared and had used all their trump cards. They were still confident that they could kill the three of them. However, what the old man could not figure out was, did Huang Yi and the others really dare to contend with the entire Feng people with just the three of them? Where were the other Phoenix people? Could it be that they were hiding somewhere else? For a moment, the old man's thoughts ran wild. In his opinion, the other Phoenix powerhouses should be hiding somewhere else and waiting for an opportunity to make a move. As for Huang Yi and the other two, they came out to act as bait to attract the attention of the Feng people and create opportunities for the other Phoenix powerhouses. This was the only explanation. While the old man was letting his imagination run wild, Huang Yi said with a smile, "There's no need to think anymore. It's true that only the three of us came here." Hearing this, the old man looked at Huang Yi suspiciously. Just now, he had scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense and found that there was indeed no one else. Could it be that only Huang Yi and the other two came here? But how dare they? They're definitely courting death. Ignoring the old man, Huang Yi said to himself, TSK. The Feng people are really willing to spend this time. They even set up the evil moon towering heaven formation. You must have spent a lot of effort on this formation, right? Even with the Feng people's ability, I'm afraid that you've used up all your savings to achieve this. Let me see. There are really a lot of formations. TSK. In the face of the Feng people's formation, Huang Yi mocked and ridiculed. In response, the old man snorted coldly. Enough, Huang Yi. How dare you come here with just the three of you? Aren't you a little too arrogant? It was almost certain that only Huang Yi, Xiao Chen, and Lin Yun were present. In response, Huang Yi said with a smile. The three of us are enough. At least we can deal with the Feng people. Arrogant, simply arrogant to the extreme. The Feng people had made so many preparations in order to destroy the entire Phoenix in one fell swoop, but Huang Yi said that the three of them were enough to deal with the entire Feng people. His arrogance had not changed at all. The old woman at the side shouted coldly. You're courting death. The three of them dared to come here. They were indeed courting death. Huang Yi was getting bolder and bolder. Moreover, in the eyes of the Feng people, Huang Yi was humiliating the Feng people and was unforgivable. Many Feng people's martial artists were furious. Huang Yi glanced at the old man and old O, and then looked at the mountain peak where the two of them were previously. There were still two old figures sitting cross-legged there, but they didn't seem to be alive at all. They haven't been awakened yet? He sneered in his heart. It seemed that the Feng people were reluctant to use this trump card. Although they had brought the two of them here, they didn't choose to awaken them directly. It seemed that the Feng people intended to observe the situation first. If the situation was manageable, they wouldn't need to use this trump card. If the situation wasn't good, they would choose to awaken the two of them. It was a good plan, but for Huang Yi, this was good news because the Feng people didn't awaken the two of them at the beginning, which meant that they wouldn't have the chance to do so again. Huang Yi wouldn't give them the chance to use this trump card again. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of this chapter. Chapter 33:17. The arrival of Huang Yi, Xiaochen, and Lin Yan filled the hearts of the Feng people with murderous intent. In the eyes of many Feng people, Huang Yi, Xiaochen, and Lin Yan were simply too arrogant. They dared to barge into the inescapable trap set up by the Feng people with just the three of them. It should be known that the Feng people spared no effort in order to successfully destroy the Phoenix people this time. Even so, Huang Yi and the others still dared to look down on them. They did not put the Feng people in their eyes at all. Moreover, Huang Yi and the others were trapped by the evil moon towering sky formation. No matter how strong Huang Yi was, he would not be able to escape in a short period of time. It could be said that in the eyes of the Feng people, Huang Yi, Xiaochen, and Lin Yan were already fat meat on the chopping board. They could not escape at all and had no chance at all. Looking at Huang Yi, who was still calm, the old woman of the Feng people snorted coldly. "Humph, you are still pretending when you are about to die. Huang Yi, you won't be able to escape today." "Oh, is that so? Is it because of the evil moon towering sky formation that you are so confident?" Hearing that, Huang Yi laughed lightly. He knew clearly that without the evil moon towering sky formation, Huang Yi would not be afraid even if the two ancestors of the Feng people attacked. The Feng people's confidence came from the formations around them, especially the evil moon towering sky formation. The old woman did not refute this. Indeed, in terms of strength, they were no match for Huang Yi. But now, the Feng people had all the advantages. They had prepared for several months. If they still could not take down Huang Yi this time, then there would be no justice in this world. His eyes were full of killing intent. At the same time, he had absolute confidence, as if he was sure that Huang Yi couldn't escape at all. In response, Huang Yi shook her head with a smile. Some people were just stupid. Even after being sold, they still helped others count the money. Are you all so confident that this evil moon towering heaven formation can trap me? Haha, Huang Yi, don't boast so shamelessly. The evil moon ascends to the heavens formation can even trap sovereigns. Although you're half a step away from sovereigns, you won't be able to break this formation in a short time. In the entire Fire Phoenix galaxy, only, hearing Huang Yi's words, the old woman sneered. She had absolute confidence in the evil moon sky formation. However, before she could finish her sentence, Huang Yi took out a colorful crystal from her space ring. The moment she saw the crystal, the old woman's voice stopped abruptly, and the expression on her face changed drastically. It wasn't just the old woman. Even the old man beside her was the same. The two of them stared at the crystal in Huang Yi's hand without blinking. They recognized this crystal. It was called the Formation Spirit Essence. It could break all formations. It was an extremely terrifying treasure. However, this treasure had always been in the hands of the Star Lord. When did it fall into Huang Yi's hands? With the Formation Spirit Essence, the evil moon towering heaven formation obviously couldn't trap Huang Yi. Moreover, all the other formations were ineffective. This also meant that more than half of the Feng people's months of preparation would go down the drain. How is this possible? How could the Formation Spirit Essence be in your hands? Old O shouted in disbelief. In response, Huang Yi smiled slightly. This Formation Spirit Essence is mine. Is it strange that it's in my hands? The Formation Spirit Essence was indeed Huang Yi's treasure. However, that was in the past. During the battle back then, Phoenix was utterly defeated by the Star Lord. Huang Yi was naturally no match for the Star Lord. The Formation Spirit Essence was also snatched away by the Star Lord. The Formation Spirit Essence was indeed useful. All these years, it had saved the Star Lord a lot of effort. No, impossible. How could it have fallen into your hands? The old woman didn't pay attention to Huang Yi's words at all. Her mind was now filled with thoughts of how the Formation Spirit Essence had fallen into Huang Yi's hands. Could it be that Huang Yi stole it from the Star Lord? But how was that possible? Not to mention that Huang Yi and the entire Phoenix were trapped in the abyss and couldn't leave at all. Even if Huang Yi had a way to leave, how could he have the ability to steal from the Star-Lord? Who was the Star-Lord? He was the strongest person in the entire Fire Phoenix galaxy. Not to mention stealing, even the things that happened in the Fire Phoenix galaxy were clearly known to the Star-Lord. But since it wasn't stolen, then why did the formation spirit essence appear in Huang Yi's hands? With their eyesight, they could naturally see that the formation spirit essence was real. There was no trace of fraud at all. Looking at the two who were in a daze for an instant, Huang Yi smiled unhurriedly. That's why I said that there are such fools in this world. They're still counting the money for others after being sold. What do you mean by that? Hearing that, the old man and the old woman asked with a complicated expression. They seemed to have guessed something in their hearts. Seeing this, Huang Yi smiled and randomly activated the formation spirit essence in his hand. As a five-colored light lit up, the evil moon-towering sky formation that enveloped the three of them began to collapse at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was no resistance at all. The evil moon-towering sky formation that consumed countless resources and painstaking efforts quickly collapsed completely. Without the obstruction of the formation, the old man and the old woman's expressions became more and more unsightly. Aren't you very puzzled as to why this formation spirit essence appeared in my hands? It's just as you think. It's impossible to steal it from that person. So, there's only one explanation left. With a faint smile on his face, the old woman couldn't help but roar when she heard this. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Other than stealing, there was only one possibility, and that was that the Star-Lord took the initiative to give the formation spirit essence to Huang Yi. But how was that possible? How could the Star-Lord give the formation spirit essence to Huang Yi? Why would he do this? They couldn't believe it, but looking at the crystal in Huang Yi's hand that was emitting a five-colored light, the old woman and the old man couldn't help but believe it. Otherwise, how could they explain why this formation spirit essence appeared in Huang Yi's hands? Even Xiaochen and Lin Yun were stunned. They didn't expect things to develop to this point. Moreover, Huang Yi was secretly in contact with the Star-Lord. Shouldn't the two of them be enemies? Why would the Star-Lord do this? Didn't he know that giving the formation spirit essence to Huang Yi would bring disaster to the Feng people? Change of plan. I'll stop these two old guys. You guys are responsible for dealing with the others. Kill everyone except the king. Without any intention of explaining further, Huang Yi said lightly to Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Hearing this, Xiaochen and Lin Yun looked at each other and seemed to understand something for a moment. Could this be the Star-Lord's idea? Or was there another plan behind the scenes? But didn't the Star-Lord come from the Feng people? Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:18. They did not know what had happened between Star-Lord and Huang Yi, but the situation was obvious. With the formation spirit in hand, all of the Feng people's formations were useless. Without the help of formations, the Feng people present could not stop Xiaochen and the other two at all. Moreover, Huang Yi was in charge of restraining the two great ancestors of the Feng people, while Xiaochen and the other two were only in charge of killing. Huang Yi himself had said that everyone could be killed except for rulers. Hearing this, the expressions of the two great ancestors of the Feng people changed drastically. The old man did not dare to hesitate and immediately prepared to wake up the other two great ancestors of the Feng people. Although waking up the two of them at this time would completely consume one of the Feng people's trump cards, they could not care so much at this time. If they did not wake up the two of them, the old man and the old woman would not be able to stop Huang Yi at all. At that time, all of the Feng people present would suffer a disaster. Before this, who would have thought that the person who caused all of this would be the Star-Lord of the Feng people? If the Feng people had not given the formation spirit to Huang Yi, how could the Feng people have fallen to such a state? Unfortunately, seeing that the old man was about to move, Huang Yi flashed in front of him and interrupted his actions. If you don't wake up those two immediately, you won't have a chance. Without the barrier of the formation, it was simply wishful thinking to wake up the two great ancestors of the Feng people in front of Huang Yi. Seeing Huang Yi's actions, the old man's heart sank. What should I do now? At the same time, Xiaochen and Lin Yun looked at each other and chose to make a move. The two of them had broken through to rulers, so it was too easy for them to face the kings of the warlord ancestors and the holy ancestors of the Feng people. The 7 elders of the Big Dipper were no longer a threat to Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Of course, Xiaochen and Lin Yun's target was the head of the Feng people. There was nothing they could do about it. After all, the two of them had sworn an oath to the heavens. They had to kill the chief of the Feng people in order to solve this problem. Seeing Xiaochen and Huang Xiaolong make a move, the Feng people did not choose to wait for death. Instead, they rose up to resist. Unfortunately, because their own ancestor was held back by Huang Yi, the Feng people's resistance was completely useless. Xiaochen and Lin Yun were like tigers in a flock of sheep. In an instant, they killed all the Feng people. Looking at Xiaochen who were overturning the crowd, the old man and the old woman were also extremely anxious. Just as the two of them were about to make a move, they were stopped by Huang Yi. I told you, it's better for the two of you not to get involved in this matter. Huang Yi, you're courting death. In response, the old woman shouted angrily and immediately started fighting with Huang Yi. Seeing this, the old man naturally went forward to help. The three of them were engaged in a fierce battle. However, facing the joint attacks of the old man and the old woman, Huang Yi seemed to be very relaxed. Huang Yi was fighting against two people with ease, but the old man and the old woman could not break through Huang Yi's blockade no matter what. In fact, if it were not for the agreement with the Star Lord that rulers could not be killed, Huang Yi would have killed the two of them long ago. However, although Huang Yi did not kill them, Xiaochen and Lin Yun were completely different. In any case, anyone below the ruler level could be killed, so Xiaochen and Lin Yun were completely unscrupulous. As for the two rulers who were unstoppable, in addition to Xiaochen and Lin Yun, although they had just broken through to become rulers, their combat strengths were far from what ordinary rulers could compare to. For a moment, the Feng people were unable to deal with the attacks of Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Seeing their clansmen die at the hands of Xiaochen and Lin Yun, the old man and the old woman's expressions became more and more unsightly. These were the true powerhouses of the Feng people. This time, in order to exterminate Phoenix, the two of them had brought the true powerhouses of the Feng people. If all of them died, the entire Feng people would probably be finished. The two of them became more and more anxious. They wanted to save him, but no matter how hard they tried, Huang Yi would not let them go. He did not give them any chance to intervene. The battle lasted for about 15 minutes. Then, with a blood-curdling scream, the clan leader of the Feng people was killed by Xiaochen with a single slash. Since the clan leader was dead, one could imagine the feelings of the other Feng people. Oldo could not help but shout angrily. Damn it, why? Why did you do this? Aren't you one of the Feng people? The old woman was obviously talking about the Star Lord. She could not understand why the Star Lord would do this. Why did he give the formation spirit essence to Huang Yi? Why did he have to put the Feng people in such a situation? The Star Lord was also one of the Feng people. She grew up among the Feng people, but now, why did he have to personally push the Feng people into the abyss? Seeing more and more phoenixes being killed, the old man and the old woman's hearts turned cold. Even though this battle had only been going on until now, since the start of the battle, the Feng people had already suffered heavy losses. On the other hand, Phoenix was not injured at all. This was because the other people in Phoenix did not show up at all. Only Huang Yi, Xiaochen, and Lin Yun appeared. They had originally planned to destroy Phoenix, but who would have thought that the Feng people would suffer a great loss in the end? Moreover, the battle was still going on. More and more Feng people died at the hands of Xiaochen and the old man. Just when the Feng people were about to fall into despair, Elder Master Bai, who was in the western region, directly found the Star Lord and spoke with a complicated expression. Sir, what do you mean by this? Elder Master Bai obviously knew about the Feng people. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura swept over and directly pressed him to the ground. "Are you questioning me?" An indifferent figure came out of the Star-Lord's mouth. Hearing this, Elder Masterby broke out in a cold sweat, but he still gritted his teeth and persisted. "Sir, you are also a member of the Foam People." "Why?" Elder Masterby completely did not understand why the Star-Lord would do this. Why would he give the erased spirit essence to Huang Yi? Why would he force the Foam People to this extent? Looking at the current situation of the Foam People, if this continued, the entire high-level combat power of the Foam People would probably be killed by Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. In the face of Elder Masterby's questioning, the Star-Lord only said one sentence calmly. "I am the Star-Lord of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. I am only responsible for the entire Fire Phoenix Galaxy, not the Foam People." As he spoke, the Star-Lord waved his hand casually, and Elder Masterby was directly sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. "This will be the last time." Elder Masterby's attitude just now was very disrespectful, but the Star-Lord still spared him this time. However, even so, Elder Masterby was still stubborn and did not leave. He wanted to know the reason. Why would the Star-Lord do this? Why would he help Huang Yi to deal with the Foam People? Even if the Star-Lord did not care about anything, Elder Masterby could explain it. However, why would the Star-Lord help Huang Yi to deal with the Foam People? Elder Masterby could not understand this no matter how hard he thought about it. And today, he wanted an answer. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:19. Seeing that Elder Masterby stubbornly refused to leave, the Star-Lord's face, which was hidden behind his terrifying spiritual power, became colder and colder. He naturally knew what the Elder Masterby meant. It was to question him. Why did he treat the Foam People like this? Why did he give the formation spirit to Huang Yi? The Star-Lord looked coldly at the Elder Masterby and spoke unhurriedly. "This is the agreement. The condition for Huang Yi to take action. In the face of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, we can't do without him." It was a very simple and direct reason, but in Elder Masterby's ears, it was incomparably jarring. Elder Masterby had been good to the Foam People for so many years, and he had secretly taken care of the Foam People. But in the end, the Star-Lord had actually sold out the entire Foam People just because he wanted to rope in Huang Yi. At this moment, Elder Masterby remembered what the Star-Lord had said. He was no longer a member of the Foam People. As the Star-Lord, he was only responsible for the entire Fire Phoenix Galaxy. He was not only responsible for the Foam People. These words suddenly surged into Elder Masterby's mind. Yes, the Star-Lord was already a member of the Foam People. For the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, he could give up anything, let alone a mere Foam People. Huang Yi had such powerful combat power, so he was obviously indispensable in the war against the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Compared to Huang Yi, the Foam People were obviously not so important. Or rather, the ordinary Foam People were not so important. Therefore, the Star-Lord chose Huang Yi and did not hesitate to sell out the Foam People. Perhaps it was just to vent his anger for Huang Yi. Of course, the emperors of the Foam People could not be killed. This was the Star-Lord's bottom line. The war was imminent, and every emperor was important. With one more ruler, their chances of winning would be higher. He was extremely disappointed, but what was wrong with this? After all, he was standing in a different position. The funny thing was that the Foam People actually thought that they had a very high position in the Star-Lord's heart. In the end, he could only become an abandoned pawn. After thinking it through, Elder Masterby cupped his hands and bowed to the Star-Lord before leaving the hall. The Star-Lord remained silent. In Star-Lord's eyes, what happened to the Foam People was not a big deal at all. As long as the king of the Foam People was still around, even if the entire Foam People were killed, he wouldn't feel sad at all. He had never thought that the entire Foam People would have such an important position in Star-Lord's heart. In the central region, the Phoenix Clan's land. The battle was still going on. More and more Foam People's warriors were killed by Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. As for the old woman and the old man, they were stopped by Huang Yi from beginning to end. There was no possibility of them interfering. It was not until more than half of the Feng people's clansmen had been killed that Huang Yi slowly spoke. "That's enough." Hearing Huang Yi's words, Xiaochen and Lin Yan chose to stop. In this battle, the Feng people could be said to have suffered heavy casualties. Seeing Xiaochen and Lin Yan stop what they were doing, the old woman and the old man glared at Huang Yi. In this regard, Huang Yi's face was calm. "All right, let's put an end to what happened back then. Take your people and get lost." After killing so many Feng people, Huang Yi actually said such a sentence casually in the end. Hearing this, the anger in the old woman and the old man's hearts could be imagined. However, there was nothing they could do now. Huang Yi had the formation spirit essence, and their arrangement was completely useless. It was useless against him. In fact, there was no point in even saying harsh words. With a cold snort, the old woman and the old man glanced at the Feng people who were still lucky enough to survive. They didn't stay for long and directly left with their people. Of course, the corpses that were killed were also taken away by them. After the Feng people left, only Xiaochen and the other two remained. Looking at Huang Yi, Xiaochen and Lin Yan didn't say anything. Although the two of them were also curious about what agreement Huang Yi and Star-Lord had reached to make Star-Lord do this, since Huang Yi didn't say anything, Xiaochen and Lin Yan wouldn't ask further. "Let's go." After saying softly, Huang Yi took the lead and walked into the clan land. This was once the clan land of Phoenix. Huang Yi couldn't be more familiar with everything around. Moreover, after so many years, Huang Yi didn't know what to feel when he came here again. There were memories and some complicated feelings. If the battle between the Feng people and Phoenix hadn't happened back then, Phoenix might not have been trapped for so many years. "You are very curious. What did Star-Lord say to me?" Huang Yi said faintly as he walked. Hearing this, Xiaochen and Lin Yan didn't reply. If Huang Yi said these things, they would just listen. It didn't matter if he didn't say anything. And Huang Yi didn't seem to have any intention of hiding it from the two of them. As he walked forward slowly, he said unhurriedly. "Because in the Azure Dragon Galaxy, Star-Lord wanted to release Phoenix and needed my power to deal with someone in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. And you all know what happened back then. It was because of him that our Phoenix had been trapped for so many years. So I made a request. Kill 100 kings of the Battle Ancestor realm from the Feng people." At this point, Huang Yi turned his head and glanced at Xiaochen and Lin Yan, but didn't continue. Because it was enough. Xiaochen and Lin Yan could completely guess what had happened. After Huang Yi made this request, the Star-Lord agreed almost without hesitation. Because compared to the Feng people, Huang Yi was obviously more important. After that, the Feng people were abandoned, and the Star-Lord only had one request, and that was that the Emperor couldn't be killed. Huang Yi did this for two reasons. On one hand, it was because of the hatred from back then. On the other hand, it was probably to weaken the power of the Feng people. It was obvious that after this battle, the Feng people wouldn't be able to recover for a long time. And if the Phoenix was born, the two races would continue to fight like before. This wasn't what Huang Yi wanted to see. Rather than waiting for the Feng people to make a move, it was better to strike first and gain the upper hand. Take the initiative to cripple the Feng people so that they couldn't continue to target the Phoenix. This way, after the Phoenix was born, they could live a stable life. And the two races wouldn't continue to fight for various reasons. This was probably planned by Huang Yi before the birth of the Feng people. Therefore, he didn't put the Feng people in his eyes at all. In Huang Yi's eyes, everything that the Feng people did before was useless. Since the Star-Lord and Huang Yi reached an agreement and gave up the Feng people, no matter what the Feng people did, they were destined to fail. Unfortunately, no one in the Feng people saw this point. It was indeed a little ridiculous. At the same time, in the Star-Lord's palace, Black Matriarch naturally knew what happened in the Phoenix territory. She didn't say much about this result. She just sighed softly. It seemed that her previous worries were really unnecessary. The Star-Lord had already made a decision and acted. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:20. Huang Yi walked around the Phoenix Clan's land and confirmed that the Feng people had left. Then, he contacted the Phoenix Clan's elders. He asked them to lead their people to the Phoenix Clan's land. The Phoenix Clan's people who were in the White Rock continent were extremely excited when they received Huang Yi's message. It had always been a dream for all the Phoenix Clan's people, especially the older generation, to be able to return to their former clan's land. Perhaps the younger generation like Huang Lin did not have deep feelings for the Phoenix Clan's land because they were born in the Earth Abyss. However, the older generation of Phoenix Clan's people were different. They had deep feelings and were obsessed with the Phoenix Clan's land. In a small city in the White Rock continent, the Phoenix Clan's people were arranged to stay in a big mansion by Tian Tai. At this moment, the Phoenix Clan's elders were sitting in a circle in the main hall. When they received Huang Yi's message, they smiled excitedly. Great, we can finally return to our clan's land. Yes, I didn't expect to be able to return to our clan's land in my lifetime. Cut the crap. Let's make arrangements and set off as soon as possible. Everyone was anxious to return to their clan's land. Soon, the Phoenix Clan's people got to work and prepared to rush to the Phoenix Clan's land. The Phoenix Clan's people were obviously excited, but the Feng people were completely different. At the end of this battle, not to mention that the Phoenixes suffered heavy losses, just the choice of the Star-Lord alone was something that the Phoenixes did not expect. Seeing the many experts of the Phoenix Clan injured and dragging many corpses, the rest of the Phoenix Clan's clansmen in the Phoenix Clan's territory were dumbfounded. Didn't they go to the Phoenix Clan's land to ambush them? Why did they end up in this state? Could it be that they were defeated? They did not want to believe it. However, the scene in front of them told the Feng people that this was the truth. If they were not defeated, how could there be so many casualties? Moreover, looking at those who had survived, each of their expressions were extremely unsightly. Many of them even had lifeless eyes, as if they were walking corpses. It was hard to imagine what they had encountered in the Phoenix Clan. None of them paid any attention to the cries and discussions of the surrounding clansmen because they didn't know what to say. They had prepared for so long and paid such a huge price. They had almost emptied the Feng people's savings over the years. But in the end, what was the result? They returned in defeat. More than half of the Feng people's experts died. Moreover, these people were the backbone of the Feng people. Their cultivations were either War Ancestor Realm King or Holy Ancestor Realm. It could be said that this battle had broken the backbone of the Feng people. At least for a long time, the Feng people would not be able to recover. Not in the mood to care about anything else, the old woman and the old man returned to their residence. The two of them sat facing each other. Their eyes met, but they did not speak for a long time. Faced with such an outcome, even as the great ancestors of the Feng people and rulers, they did not know what to say. They had been defeated. They had been utterly defeated. Moreover, they had not been defeated by the Phoenix Clan, but by the Star-Lord. They had been defeated by the Star-Lord, whom they thought was one of their clansmen. The Feng people are no longer what they used to be. After a long while, the old man spoke faintly. It was not hard to imagine what the Feng people would face after this battle. They had lost more than half of their backbone. Although the two great ancestors were still around, the Feng people's strength had been greatly weakened. Moreover, the most important thing was the Star-Lord's attitude. From this matter, it was not hard to see that the Star-Lord had no feelings for the Feng people. In the eyes of the Star-Lord, the Feng people were no different from other forces. Hearing the old man's words, the old woman fell silent because she knew it was the truth. Just as the two of them were silent, the token at their waists suddenly flickered with a white light. Elder Master Bai's shadow slowly appeared in front of them. Seeing the Elder Master Bai, the old man and the old woman were not excited at all this time. In fact, there was even a trace of coldness in their eyes. If this guy is one of the Star-Lord's men, is he still a member of the Feng people? Is he still loyal to the Feng people? What are you doing here? The old woman asked the elder masterby coldly. Sensing the changes in the old woman and the old man's expressions, the elder masterby revealed a bitter smile. He naturally knew what the two of them were thinking. Perhaps in their hearts, this matter was planned by him and the Star Lord. How many people died? After a moment of silence, the elder masterby asked in a low and steady voice. Hearing this, the old man sneered. Why? Are you still concerned about the life and death of the Feng people? Isn't this the result you want to see? 38 kings of the Battle Ancestor Realm died, and more than 300 Holy Ancestor Realm died. The old man sneered, but he still told the elder masterby the answer. Hearing this number, the elder masterby gasped, and his heart sank completely. Too ruthless. Huang Yi is really too ruthless. He has completely crippled the Feng people. The result was worse than he had expected. Seeing that the elder masterby was silent, the old woman beside him sneered. Why are you being so pretentious now? The decline of the Feng people is a foregone conclusion. There's no need to be so disgusting. In their opinion, the elder masterby was just being pretentious. In response, the elder masterby said in a low voice. I didn't participate in this matter, and I only found out about it later. This was the truth. The elder masterby indeed didn't participate in this matter. If he had known about it earlier, with the elder masterby's feelings for the Feng people, he would definitely have informed the Feng people in advance, even if he didn't intervene. At least, it would have reduced the casualties of the Feng people. Seeing that the elder masterby didn't seem to be lying, the old man and the old woman's expressions kept changing. In the end, the old man asked, why did the Star Lord do this? This was something that the old man and the old woman couldn't understand until now. Even if the Star Lord didn't have any feelings for the Feng people, his identity as a Feng people couldn't be erased for the rest of his life. After all, the blood flowing in his body belonged to the Feng people. How could he change this? As a member of the Feng people, it was the most unacceptable thing for him to treat his own people like this. In response to the old man's question, the elder masterby was silent for a moment before he finally said. It's because of interests. It's because the Feng people are not as important as Huang Yi to the Star Lord. Because of this, the old man and the old woman suddenly laughed when they heard this answer. Was it just because Huang Yi was more important to the Star Lord? What a perfect answer. It was very realistic, but also very ridiculous. Because Huang Yi was more important, the entire Feng people were abandoned. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33:21. Upon hearing Elder Masterby's words, the old man and the old woman fell silent. To them, this answer was so ridiculous yet true. Just because the Feng people were not as valuable as Huang Yi, the Star Lord could abandon the Feng people without hesitation. It was just to let Huang Yi vent his anger or to put his mind at ease. Indeed, after this battle, the Feng people would not be able to do anything to Phoenix for a long time. Phoenix could be said to have ushered in true peace. Since things had come to this, even if the Feng people were indignant, what could they do? They could only swallow this bitter fruit themselves. Looking at the old man and the old woman who were silent, Elder Masterby opened his mouth, but in the end, it turned into a silent sigh. Was there any point in saying anything else now? Elder Masterby could not help the Feng people and there was no way he could help them. He left silently. The old man and the old woman did not ask him to stay. After the battle, the people of Phoenix finally returned to the Phoenix clan's land a few days later. After so many years, many of the older generation of Phoenix clan members cried tears of joy when they returned to their homeland. They did not expect that one day, they would actually be able to set foot on this land again. Compared to the elation of the older generation of Phoenix clan members, Huang Lin and the younger generation were extremely curious. Was this the Phoenix clan's land that the elders had been talking about? The most important place in Phoenix clan? The environment was indeed much better than the abyss of evil. Compared to the abyss of evil, this place was simply like heaven. The rich spiritual energy and the beautiful scenery made it seem as though they were in a fairyland. Accompanied by Xiaochen and Lin Yun, Huang Lin toured the entire Phoenix clan's land, and the smile on his face never disappeared. This place is really beautiful. It's so much better than the abyss of evil. Do you think this will be my home in the future? Huang Lin said in disbelief. Xiaochen and Lin Yun only smiled and nodded. This will naturally be your home from now on. Really? That's great. Huang Lin smiled happily. Looking at Huang Lin, Xiaochen and Lin Yun smiled. This girl had supreme talent, but her temperament was incomparably pure, just like a child who loved to play. According to Huang Yi, when they were in the Earth Abyss's evil cave, there were no conditions for Huang Lin to break through to become a ruler. Now that Phoenix had returned, with Huang Lin's talent, as long as she was willing to cultivate hard, she could break through to become a ruler in a short time. However, this girl didn't seem to have any interest in cultivation at all. She didn't seem to want to cultivate at all. She only knew how to play all day. This made Huang Yi and her mother very worried. However, as a typical daughter slave, Huang Yi followed Huang Lin in many things. She thought that this girl was just curious about the outside world. Perhaps after some time, she would be able to calm down. Over the next few days, Xiaochen and Lin Yun accompanied Huang Lin to play in the Phoenix clan's territory. As the former territory of the Phoenix clan, there were naturally many cultivation secret realms. Over the years, the Feng people had also protected these secret realms very well. However, Huang Lin wasn't interested in these. She only cared about the beautiful scenery. In the clan's territory, in the most luxurious courtyard. As the ancestor of the Phoenix clan, Huang Yi and her family naturally lived here. At this moment, in the backyard, Huang Yi and a beautiful woman sat opposite each other. The beautiful woman was Huang Lin's mother. Looking at Huang Yi, the beautiful woman complained with some dissatisfaction. This girl only knows how to play all day. She doesn't stay at home at all. Our daughter is just curious about everything in the outside world. Forget it, let her be. She should be fine after some time. It's all because of you that she has been spoiled rotten. In response, the beautiful woman rolled her eyes at Huang Yi. This fellow only knew how to spoil his daughter all day, causing Huang Lin to become more and more unruly. Now, as a mother, it was extremely difficult for her to even see Huang Lin, let alone cultivate. It had been a few days and Huang Lin didn't stay at home. Instead, she followed Xiaochen and Lin Yun around all day. However, Huang Yi didn't have the intention to care about this. With Xiaochen and Lin Yun around, Huang Yi wasn't worried about Huang Lin's safety at all. What a joke! If two emperors couldn't protect Huang Lin, it would be a joke. After a few more days, Xiaochen, Lin Yun and Huang Lin finally returned. As soon as they returned home, Huang Lin hurriedly went to see her mother as she wanted to share with her what had happened over the past few days. As for Xiaochen and Lin Yun, they met Huang Yi. Seeing the two of them coming over, Huang Yi said with a smile, "It's been hard on you. This crazy girl of mine isn't easy to deal with. Senior, you're being too serious. Huang Lin has a good personality." In response, Xiaochen replied with a smile. Under Huang Yi's signal, the two of them sat down opposite him. Huang Yi personally poured tea for the two of them as he asked unhurriedly, "Are you leaving?" Huang Yi had already guessed that Xiaochen and Lin Yun were going to leave this time. At the moment, Phoenix had already stabilized and there wasn't anything major. Xiaochen and Lin Yun naturally couldn't stay in the Phoenix clan's territory forever. In response, Xiaochen and Lin Yun both nodded slightly. Xiaochen even spoke directly. "We plan to make a trip to the Feng people. The matter with the Feng people hasn't been resolved yet, so we have to ask them clearly." Xiaochen and Lin Yun already knew that they were being chased by the Feng people for no reason. The person who gave this order was one of the young masters of the Feng people. However, that young master didn't participate in the battle in the Phoenix clan's territory previously. Otherwise, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun wouldn't have let him go so easily. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Huang Yi nodded. He didn't stop them and only said faintly, "It's the same as before." It's still the same. Other than rulers, you can kill anyone. As he spoke, Huang Yi threw a voice transmission talisman to Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Take it. If there's anything, contact me. I'll rush over as soon as possible. Although the two of you have broken through to become rulers, the Feng people's foundation can't be underestimated. If you provoke them and they really use all their trump cards, it'll be difficult for the two of you to deal with them. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. This was a fact. Although Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were rulers, if they really forced the Feng people into a corner, it would be difficult to deal with them. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun didn't refuse. They nodded and accepted the voice transmission talisman. With a backer like Huang Yi, why would they refuse? After all, Huang Yi's cultivation was second only to the Star Lord. Moreover, this time, the two of them were not going to the Feng people to attack the entire Feng people. They were just going to talk to that young master and find out why he had issued the order to kill the two of them back then. Please add it to your collection, monthly votes, and recommendations. Chapter 33-22. Being hunted down for no reason, given Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's personalities, they naturally would not let it go just like that. At that time, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun did not have any enmity with the Feng people. Even so, the Feng people still issued an order to hunt them down without any reason. Huang Yi did not stop Xiao Chen and Lin Yun from going to the Feng people. With Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's strengths and his protection, they would not be in any danger. Of course, now that the Feng people had suffered heavy losses, they could no longer be as domineering as before. After bidding farewell to Huang Yi and staying in the Phoenix clan for another day, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun left. However, before they left, Huang Lin insisted on going with the two of them. In the end, Huang Yi was adamant in not agreeing to it and she gave up. Nevertheless, she also wanted Xiao Chen and Lin Yun to promise that they would come to the Phoenix clan to visit her in the future and bring her to travel around the Fire Phoenix galaxy. After bidding farewell to Huang Yi, Huang Lin, and the others, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun did not say anything and went straight to the Feng people. The Phoenix clan's territory was not far from the Feng people's territory. With Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's speed as rulers, they arrived in just a day. From afar, the Feng people's territory was about the same size as the Phoenix clan's territory. They were both star islands. Nevertheless, compared to the Phoenix clan's territory, the Feng people's territory was obviously more prosperous. This was understandable. After all, although the Feng people had been occupying the Phoenix clan's territory all these years, it was only because of those cultivation secret realms. It was impossible for them to develop the Phoenix clan's territory like they did for their own. Without hiding their figures, the two of them directly charged into the sky above the Phoenix clan's territory. A terrifying ruler's might descended from the sky and instantly enveloped the entire Feng people's land. Such a huge commotion naturally attracted the attention of many experts from the Feng people. Many experts from the Feng people who had yet to recover from the previous battle could not be bothered with the injuries on their bodies. They rose into the air one after another and appeared in front of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. However, when they saw that it was actually Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the faces of the experts from the Feng people sank and they shouted coldly, "It's you! How dare you cause trouble in the Feng people's territory?" The experts from the Feng people were naturally familiar with Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. After all, it was the two of them who had caused the deaths of many experts from the Feng people. When enemies met, their eyes would turn red. Unfortunately, these experts from the Feng people did not dare to make a move against Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. They knew that they were no match for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. However, the two great ancestors of the Feng people soon appeared. The old woman and the old man appeared in front of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun at the same time. Looking at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the old woman and the old man's eyes were also filled with coldness. "Do you really think that the Feng people can be bullied by others?" they thought that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had come to deliberately bully the Feng people. At the same time, when the old woman spoke, the old man was still looking around with a cold face. It was obvious that he was looking for Huang Yi. In his opinion, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun must have come here on Huang Yi's orders. Phoenix was still unwilling to let the Feng people go. Huang Yi wanted to take this opportunity to take the lives of the Feng people in one fell swoop. Once bitten, twice shy. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, once bitten, twice shy. There's no need to look for him. Senior Huang Yi is not here. The two of us are not here to deal with the Feng people. We are just here to seek an explanation. An explanation? Hearing this, the old man was puzzled. Why did Xiao Chen and Lin Yun come to the Feng people to seek an explanation? In response, Xiao Chen said unhurriedly. Back then, the two of us had no enmity with the Feng people in the past. However, the Feng people attacked the two of us for no reason. Shouldn't we seek an explanation? Let's not talk nonsense. The two of us came here today only for that Feng Yu. Feng Yu was the young master who had attacked Xiao Chen and Lin Yun back then. Hearing this, the old man and the old woman frowned slightly. They had heard about the matter between Feng Yu and Xiao Chen. At that time, they did not take it to heart. After all, Feng Yu was one of the most talented people in the younger generation of the Feng people. As for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, they were only battle ancestor realm kings. Feng Yu wanted to deal with Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. In the eyes of the old man and the old woman, it was not a big deal at all. Did the young master of the Feng people need any reason to capture the two of them? This was the overbearing attitude of the Feng people. Who would have thought that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun would break through to the ruler realm in such a short time? Moreover, they had formed a relationship with Phoenix. This time, because of the two of them, the Feng people had suffered heavy losses. Looking coldly at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the old woman said coldly. What a joke! Where do you think this is? With just the two of you, you want the Feng people to hand over the two of you? The Feng people were naturally unwilling to hand over their own prodigies. What a joke! If they did that, where would the Feng people's face go? Xiao Chen did not care about this. If it was in the past, it would not be strange for the Feng people to have such confidence. Now, things were different. The Feng people can give it a try. Xiao Chen looked calmly at the old woman and said indifferently. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were no longer the same as before. They had the confidence to face the Feng people directly. Perhaps the Feng people were indeed capable of taking them down, but they would definitely have to pay a huge price. Moreover, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun still had Huang Yi behind them. Under such circumstances, would the Feng people pay such a huge price for a prodigy of the younger generation? As expected, after hearing Xiao Chen's words, although the old woman was furious, she did not directly refute him this time. How could she not see that if the Feng people did not hand over the prodigies in the next few days, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun would not be kind to each other? Provoking two rulers was definitely not a wise choice for the phoenixes at the moment. Just as everyone was confronting each other in the sky, in a beautiful courtyard in the Feng people's territory. Feng Yu, who was mentioned by Xiao Chen, was looking at everything in the sky with his mother. Looking coldly at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the beautiful woman said coldly. Do you really think that a crow can become a phoenix after flying to a branch? Her tone was cold. In response, Feng Yu, who was at the side, did not say anything. His expression was extremely complicated. The two fellows whom he had looked down upon before had now grown to such an extent that even the two patriarchs were somewhat helpless against them. All of these changes were too fast. It was so fast that Feng Yu could not adapt at all. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had far exceeded his expectations. If he could do it again, Feng Yu might not provoke them again. Offending two rulers for Feng Ling, even a fool would know what to do. Unfortunately, it seemed that Feng Yu would not have the chance to do it again. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33-23. He looked at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun in the sky with a complicated gaze. If one observed carefully, it was not difficult to notice that there was an additional trace of fear in Feng Yu's eyes. If he fell into the hands of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, he knew what the consequences would be. He would definitely die. The two of them had killed quite a number of Feng people, so they naturally did not care about him. Feng Yu was extremely worried, and the beautiful woman beside him was still shouting coldly. "You don't know what's good for you. You actually dare to come to the Feng people to capture people. Don't worry. The patriarch will definitely be able to capture these two. When the time comes, mother will tell them to hand these two over to you to deal with." Feng Yu did not answer his mother's words because he did not know how to answer. Should he say that he was too young and naive, or that he was too stupid? He could not even understand the simplest situation in front of him. Did he really think that the Feng people were still the Feng people from before? After the battle in the Phoenix clan's territory, the Feng people were no longer the same as before. As for Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, they were no longer the kings of the war ancestor realm that he looked down on. At this moment, the two of them were already emperors. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. In Feng Yu's opinion, it would be very difficult for his patriarch to stop Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Even if he had the ability, would his patriarch use all his strength? For a junior like him, would his patriarch be willing to sacrifice the entire Feng people and have a great battle with Xiao Chen and the others? Feng Yu knew himself very well. He knew that his talent was very strong, but to be honest, among the younger generation of the Feng people, Feng Yu was not the only one. There were other prodigies. In this way, would the patriarch be willing to sacrifice the entire Feng people for a prodigy of the younger generation? He was not irreplaceable. Everything was just a trade-off. And now, compared to the pressure that the entire Feng people was facing, giving up on him was clearly a better choice. Her thoughts were completely different from her mother's. In reality, this was indeed the case. In the sky, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun indifferently looked at the old man and old woman as they spoke in a calm tone. "What do you think? Hand him over or fight?" When she heard this, the old woman fell silent. Even she did not continue to berate him. Instead, it was the old man who stood up and spoke. "The two of you didn't suffer any injuries in this matter. Why don't we just leave it at that?" Upon hearing the old man's words, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun immediately laughed. Forget it? He really didn't know where this old man got the confidence to say such words. Forget it? Heh, don't you think these words are ridiculous? If the two of us hadn't broken through to become rulers and Feng people hadn't suffered heavy injuries, would you have let us go? When the time comes, the two of us will fall into the hands of the Feng people. Do you still need me to tell you what will happen to us? When Feng Yu was powerful, Feng people were completely unreasonable and did not care about other things. Now, the Feng people were weak. Now, they were telling him to leave them at that time. It was simply laughable. Back then, if Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were careless and fell into the hands of the Feng people, one could imagine their fate. They would definitely die. The Feng people would not care if they were innocent. In any case, they did not need any reason to kill them. Therefore, now that Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had the upper hand, what reason did they have to let the Feng people go? They did not attack the entire Feng people, which was already considered a concession. If they were not even willing to hand over Feng Yu, there was nothing to talk about. They would just attack. Hearing this and looking at Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's determined expressions, the old man knew that there was no room for negotiation. He had once experienced the grievance from Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. This time, he seemed to have experienced it from the old man. He also experienced the feeling of being powerless to resist. However, this time, before the old man could speak, a beautiful woman flew out from the clan below. The beautiful woman was none other than Feng Yu's mother. When she heard Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's words from below, she was immediately furious. Without thinking, she directly rushed up. In her opinion, how could the Feng people be humiliated like this? These two people were simply reckless. Not only did they want to capture her son, but they also dared to be disrespectful to the old man. Such people should be killed directly. Moreover, this was the Feng people's clan. As a member of the Feng people, the beautiful woman did not think that the Feng people would be defeated, nor did she think that the Feng people would bow their heads. In the beautiful woman's heart, the Feng people were the strongest. No one could be a match for them. Even the Star-Lord was from the Feng people. Which force in the entire Fire Phoenix galaxy could compare to them? Therefore, as soon as the beautiful woman appeared, she immediately shouted angrily at Xiao Chen. "You're courting death. My son couldn't capture you, but you didn't know how to run away like rats. You actually dared to take the initiative to come here and disrespect the Feng people's ancestor. There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barge in. Today, I'll definitely capture the two of you." The beautiful woman shouted coldly. Hearing this, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun's eyes locked onto her. From the words just now, it was not difficult to determine that this beautiful woman should be Feng Yu's mother. For a moment, a hint of meaning flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. At the same time, the corners of his mouth also curled into a cold smile. Feng Yu did not appear, but his mother did. This was interesting. However, this beautiful woman seemed to be a little stupid. She could not even see the current situation clearly. Could it be that in her opinion, the Feng people now had the upper hand? She did not notice at all that her ancestor was weighing the pros and cons, and was thinking about how to protect the Feng people to the greatest extent. Otherwise, if the Feng people really had the upper hand, with the Feng people's character, how could they not make a move for such a long time? Both sides would still be in a deadlock here. It was precisely because the Feng people did not want to fight with Xiao Chen and Lin Yun that they had been enduring silently. It was laughable that this beautiful woman did not notice this at all. Until now, she still thought that the Feng people could capture Xiao Chen and Lin Yun at any time. However, the two of them did not know what was good for them and walked right into the trap. Sensing the change in Xiao Chen's expression, the old man's expression also changed. He looked coldly at Feng Yu's mother and thought unhappily in his heart. Stupid. The beautiful woman was indeed stupid. She did not know the current situation at all. Did she really think that the Feng people were still the Feng people of the past? Was Xiao Chen and Lin Yun still the Xiao Chen and Lin Yun of the past? Now, the situation had completely reversed. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were no longer afraid of the Feng people. On the contrary, the Feng people were now very afraid of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun and were not willing to become enemies with the two of them. It was laughable that the beautiful woman could not see this point. Originally, if she did not show up, there was still some room for her to control. However, now, she jumped out recklessly. That was really walking right into the trap. She could not even see clearly who was walking right into the trap. She was indeed a fool. "You are Feng Yu's mother?" At this time, Xiao Chen also spoke. "Please collect, please vote, please recommend." Chapter 33-24. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, the old man and old woman immediately frowned, and a bad premonition arose in their hearts. At the same time, the two of them glanced at the beautiful woman in annoyance. They thought that this woman was simply courting death. Even they were extremely fearful of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Where did this woman get the confidence to dare to speak to Xiao Chen and the old man like this? However, until now, the beautiful woman still did not see the situation clearly. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, she still coldly shouted. "Humph, so what if it's me? Could it be that you want to kill people in the Feng people's territory? Simply presumptuous." Hearing this, Xiao Chen could not help but reveal a sneer. Just how naive was this woman? Could she not see the current situation at all? A trace of killing intent had already appeared in his heart towards this woman. In Xiao Chen's opinion, this woman was just an ant that could be casually crushed to death. Even if this was the Feng people's territory, could the Feng people really stop him? And she even said that the Feng people would start a war with the two of them for him alone? What a joke! The Feng people could not even make up their mind to protect a young genius like Feng Yu, let alone her. Her talent was ordinary. If it was not for her son, this beautiful woman could be said to have no status in the Feng people. Just as Xiaochen was about to make a move, a spatial spirit ship suddenly flew over from afar. Looking at the spatial spirit ship and the symbol of the Dragon Phoenix Valley, a strange light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. There was no need to think to know who had come. As expected, the spatial spirit ship slowly stopped outside the Feng people's territory, and then a beautiful figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The person who came was none other than Feng Ling. The moment he saw Feng Ling appear, Feng Yu, who had been paying attention to everything below, finally had a change in expression. His face suddenly sank, and his eyes were overflowing with killing intent as he said. Feng Ling in this world, the person that Feng Yu wanted to kill the most was definitely Feng Ling. It had nothing to do with hatred or enmity. Perhaps it was the inferiority in his heart. After all, Feng Yu's talent was all obtained from Feng Ling. He was like a thief who stole Feng Ling's talent. Therefore, as long as Feng Ling was alive, Feng Yu would feel that he was just a thief and not some prodigy of the Feng people. Only by truly killing Feng Ling would Feng Yu be able to truly accept his talent. Moreover, no one knew better than Feng Yu that although he had taken away Feng Ling's talent, in reality, because it was not his to begin with, Feng Yu had no way to fully display her talent after so many years. It was not even 1/10 of her talent. One could imagine how strong Feng Ling's talent was. This was undoubtedly telling Feng Yu that his talent was not obtained properly and that he was not worthy of her. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. At the same time, when the beautiful woman in the sky saw Feng Ling, killing intent also appeared on her face. However, she wasn't as shrewd as her son and immediately shouted angrily. "Bitch, you still dare to appear before me? Good, very good. Today, you must die." Feng Yu and his son had never given up on hunting down Feng Ling. Unfortunately, this woman was like a loach and had escaped death several times. In the end, she had even disappeared without a trace and could not be traced at all. And now, this woman actually dared to take the initiative to come to the Feng people. The beautiful woman was incomparably excited. This time, she would definitely be able to kill this woman. Feng Ling did not pay any attention to the woman's angry yell. She just glanced at her indifferently, and then her eyes fell on Xiaochen. There was a trace of complexity in her eyes. She had never expected that in a short period of time, Xiaochen and Lin Yun would actually grow to such an extent. When she was in the Scattered Star Sea, Xiaochen and Lin Yun were still only warlord ancestors. Although Feng Ling wanted to use their powers to take revenge for her, to be honest, she did not have much confidence at that time. Now, after only coming to the central region for a few years, Xiaochen and Lin Yun had broken through to rulers and killed so many people from the Feng people. Now, they were suppressing the Feng people to the point that they could not breathe. Not to mention that Xiaochen and Lin Yun really had the strength to destroy the Feng people, at least they had the confidence to face the Feng people head-on. Even the arrogant Feng people could not ignore Xiaochen and Lin Yun anymore. When Feng Ling heard the news in the Scattered Star Sea, she did not know how to describe her feelings. Perhaps she was excited, perhaps she was happy, or perhaps she was surprised. Therefore, without much hesitation, she immediately went to the central region. This was because she knew very well that this was the best opportunity for her to take revenge. At the same time, she also wanted to take back what belonged to her. All of this required the help of Xiaochen and Lin Yun. It was precisely because of this that even though she knew that Xiaochen and Lin Yun were in the Feng people's territory, Feng Ling was not afraid at all. On the contrary, she was a little excited. This was because she seemed to have seen the moment when she would get her revenge. "Senior." She bowed respectfully to Xiaochen and Lin Yun. In response, Xiaochen only said indifferently, "What are you doing here?" "Senior, please help me take back what belongs to me." Feng Ling did not beat around the bush at all. She bluntly stated her purpose for coming here. Feng Ling did not dare to have any thoughts about Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Even though she had broken through to the warlord ancestor realm, it was still the same. Feng Ling was still able to break through to the warlord ancestor realm with her bloodline stolen and her broken body. It was indeed obvious that she was extraordinary. Moreover, Xiaoqin and Lin Yun were here for Feng Yu. To be honest, helping Feng Ling was just a matter of convenience. There was no conflict between the two sides. Therefore, after hearing Feng Ling's words, Xiaoqin did not refuse and nodded. Wait first. We'll talk about it later. Hearing this, Feng Ling's eyes flashed with joy. Although Xiaoqin did not directly agree, since he said so, Feng Ling knew that Xiaoqin had tacitly agreed. Seeing Feng Ling suddenly appear, the expressions of many of the Feng people's experts changed slightly. Many of them knew Feng Ling. After all, Feng Ling's parents were only Feng people, and they were also elders. Unfortunately, they died early, which was why such a thing happened to Feng Ling. Back then, the matter of Feng Yu and his mother seizing Feng Ling's bloodline was not a secret among the Feng people. Many people knew about it. However, by the time they found out, Feng Ling's bloodline power had already been taken away. In addition, Feng Ling's parents had died early, so naturally, no one would stand up for her. Although no one had ever said such a thing. However, everyone knew that Feng Ling's bloodline power was extremely important for Feng Yu to be where he was today. Please collect, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 33-25. Feng Ling's appearance filled the hearts of many people from the Feng people with complicated feelings. After all, Feng Ling was once a member of the Feng people, and she was a true God-favored one. If it were not for Feng Yu and his mother, Feng Ling might have been different. Moreover, when Feng Yu and his mother forcefully seized Feng Ling's bloodline, none of them stood out to uphold justice. In their opinion, this was already an established fact. Feng Ling was already crippled, so there was no need to offend Feng Yu and his mother for a cripple. Because of this, Feng Ling was forced to escape from the Feng people and even fell into a deadly situation several times. After experiencing these things, many people present knew how much Feng Ling hated the Feng people. That was why they had mixed feelings when they saw Feng Ling at this time. There was only one person who was filled with anger and killing intent when facing Feng Ling, and that was Feng Yu's mother. This B***TCH actually dared to appear in front of her. Looking at the beautiful woman's eyes, one could tell how much she wanted to kill Feng Ling very good. You won't be able to leave the Feng people today. The beautiful woman would definitely not let Feng Ling leave again. After dealing with Xiaoqin and Lin Yun, it would be this B***TCH's turn. However, as soon as she said this, some powerhouses from the Feng people who were on good terms with her quietly came to her side. They originally wanted her to stop talking nonsense. This was not the time to think about this. The key was to deal with Xiaoqin and Lin Yun first. However, before anyone could speak, a green sword light flashed past and headed straight for the beautiful woman. Stop, stop. The person who attacked was naturally Xiaoqin. This woman had been chattering non-stop and did not know what was good for her. In addition, she was Feng Yu's mother, so Xiaoqin had long wanted to kill her. As for this woman's idea that he would not dare to make a move on her since they were in the Feng people, Xiaoqin could only say that it was too ridiculous. Among the many Feng people present, other than the old man and the old woman, who were the rulers, Xiaoqin could not kill. Did she really think that he couldn't do anything to her just because they were in Feng people? The old woman was the first to come back to her senses when the sword light arrived in front of her. She immediately yelled angrily. Damn it! Damn it! Unfortunately, Xiaoqin's attack did not stop because of the old woman's reprimand. Surrounded by a group of clansmen, the beautiful woman looked terrified as the sword light pierced through her body. The beautiful woman, who only had the cultivation of a world lord, did not even have the slightest ability to resist Xiaoqin's casual attack and was killed directly. So what if there were more people? So what if it was the Feng people's land? They still couldn't protect him. Before she died, the beautiful woman didn't expect that she would be killed like this. Moreover, it was in the Feng people's territory, in her own home. He was killed in front of so many experts of the Feng people and even his own patriarch. He looked at Xiaochen in shock, as if he was wondering where Xiaochen got the guts to kill him in such a blatant manner. Perhaps it was only at this last moment that the beautiful woman understood that in front of a ruler, even if there were many powerhouses of the Feng people protecting her, it was useless, and it could not be a reason for her to be arrogant. Unfortunately, it was too late for her to understand all of this now. She fell unwillingly. As the beautiful woman died, the old woman looked at Xiaochen angrily. "How dare you kill someone in front of the Feng people?" "Why wouldn't I dare? This person spoke rudely and wanted to die. I was just fulfilling her wish." Xiaochen only replied indifferently. He did not restrain his gaze at all as he looked into the old woman's eyes, completely ignoring the anger that was about to burst out of the old woman's eyes. She wanted to make a move and teach them a lesson. She even wanted to kill Xiaochen and Lin Yun. However, her remaining rationality kept telling her that she could not do that. Once she did that, it would be a disaster for the Feng people. Moreover, even if she made a move, would she be able to kill Xiaochen and Lin Yun? It was almost impossible because even if the Feng people had the ability to deal with Xiaochen and Li Yun, what about Huang Yi? What about the entire Phoenix? What should they do then? Seeing that the old woman was angry but was holding back from making a move, the surrounding experts of the Feng people fell silent. They knew the old woman's character very well. How could she have suffered such a loss in the past? If it was in the past, the old woman would have gone berserk and fought Xiaochen. Now, she did not dare to make a move. Even if Xiaochen killed the beautiful woman in front of her, she could only choose to tolerate it. If even their own patriarch was like this, what could they do? Could it be that he would rush to his death? The Feng people were really no longer the same as before. Even their own patriarch could only swallow his anger at this time. How sad was that? However, the beautiful woman did not die with a grudge. Who asked her to be so stupid that she could not even understand the situation on the field? Even their patriarch did not make a move and could only choose to tolerate it. Did she really think that Xiaochen would not dare to make a move on her? In the end, it was no different from what Xiaochen had thought. Even if he killed the beautiful woman in front of so many people, the Feng people still did not dare to make the slightest move, just like when they faced Fengling's matter back then. It was impossible for the Feng people to provoke two rulers for a dead person. This was the indifference between the clansmen. They only looked at benefits and did not care about anything else. Back then, the Feng people could give up on Fengling and did not care about right or wrong. Today, they could also give up on Fengyu and his mother. Everything was just for the sake of benefits. After killing the woman, Xiaochen said indifferently, "All right, enough. Hand over Fengyu and we'll forget about what happened previously." "Xiaochen, don't go too far." Hearing that Xiaochen still wanted Fengling, the old woman could not help but curse. However, just as she finished speaking, a furious roar was heard. "Mother!" Seeing his mother being killed by Xiaochen with a single finger, how could Fengyu remain calm? In a flash, he arrived beside the beautiful woman's corpse. He held the dead body in his arms and glared at Xiaochen. As Fengyu appeared, a hint of hatred flashed across Fengling's eyes. After so many years, she saw Fengyu again. Looking at Fengyu, whose eyes were red like a crazy beast, for some reason, Fengling felt a wave of comfort in her heart. If Fengyu was unhappy, she would be very happy. Thinking about all these years, she did not know how many times she had been driven crazy by Fengyu. At that time, she was so helpless. If it were not for her good luck, she would have long ceased to exist in this world. Now, seeing Fengyu like this, Fengling sneered in her heart. I'll let Fengyu experience the feeling of having no one to rely on in despair. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33-26. In Fengling's eyes, Fengyu's expression, which was as if he was about to devour someone, was actually so pleasant. However, at this moment, Fengyu did not pay attention to Fengling. His eyes were fixed on Xiaochen. Seeing his mother being killed with his own eyes, Feng Yu's mood could be imagined. However, Xiaochen did not care about this at all. Over the years, Xiaochen had seen too many families break up. He had killed Feng Yu's mother, but so what? Because both sides were enemies, that was all. Moreover, when Feng Yu attacked Xiaochen and Lin Yun, did he ever think of Qin Shiru, Lu Bingning, and the others? No. Therefore, there was no need to be merciful to enemies because the other party would not be merciful to you. You came out on your own just like that? Just nice, I don't have to look for you. Xiaochen said slowly with an indifferent tone. He slowly stretched out his palm and grabbed towards Feng Yu. Seeing this, the old woman could not hold it in this time and immediately wanted to stop Xiaochen. At the same time, sensing the old woman's actions, Lin Yun snorted coldly and also made a move to stop the old woman. You! Being stopped by Lin Yun, the old woman was incomparably furious. However, she knew Lin Yun's strength. Although this fellow had just broken through to become a ruler, his combat strength was not inferior to hers at all. He was simply a freak. Being stopped by Lin Yun, the old woman naturally could not do anything. As for Feng Yu, although he was a god-favored one of the Feng people, his cultivation had already reached the king level of the War Ancestor realm. However, in front of Xiaochen, he still did not have the slightest ability to resist. Facing the overwhelming pressure from Xiaochen, Feng Yu gritted his teeth and wanted to break free. Unfortunately, his struggle was useless in front of Xiaochen. He could only watch helplessly as Xiaochen grabbed the air and instantly restrained him. At the same time, the corpse in his arms also fell out of his hands and fell down. Looking at his mother's corpse falling to the ground, Feng Yu's eyes were completely red, blood red, and he angrily said, "Mother." As a son, he could only watch helplessly as his mother was killed in front of him. Now, he couldn't even protect his mother's body. However, Xiaochen did not care about Feng Yu's roar. He slowly raised his hand and Feng Yu was directly pulled to his side. He instantly took action to seal Feng Yu's cultivation, and at the same time, his own spiritual energy tightly enveloped Feng Yu. "I'll kill you! I'll kill you!" He struggled frantically and cursed non-stop. Towards Feng Yu's actions, Xiaochen did not pay the slightest attention. After successfully capturing Feng Yu, Lin Yun and the old woman tacitly stopped. After all, Feng Yu had been captured and the two of them had no reason to continue attacking. That's right. Let's write off the previous matter. However, Feng people shouldn't provoke us in the future. Otherwise, things won't be so simple. After achieving his goal, Xiaochen also planned to leave and said to the old woman and the old man indifferently. Hearing Xiaochen's words, the old woman gritted her teeth. They killed people in the Feng people's territory and even captured the prodigy of the Feng people. In the end, they actually told the Feng people not to provoke them again. This was simply a great humiliation, a great humiliation. For a moment, the old woman did think of fighting to the death with Xiaochen and the others. Using all the strength and trump cards of the Feng people, even if Xiaochen and Lin Yun had Phoenix and Huang Yi behind them, they would not hesitate. However, as soon as this thought arose, it was forcefully suppressed by the old woman. Because she knew that once she did this, there would only be one result for the Feng people, and that was destruction, complete destruction. Moreover, Huang Yi might be waiting for this opportunity. An excuse to attack the Feng people openly. At that time, even the Star-Lord would not be able to say anything. Therefore, the Feng people absolutely could not give Huang Yi this opportunity. As long as they did not give him this opportunity, Huang Yi would have no reason to attack the Feng people. In order to preserve the bloodline of the Feng people, it was understandable even if they had to swallow their anger. Endure. When the old woman and the old man heard Xiaochen's words, both of them actually chose to remain silent. Everyone knew very well what silence meant. The two of them gave in. As the ancestors of the Feng people, they tacitly approved of all the actions of Xiaochen and Lin Yun. Including Xiaochen killing people and capturing and taking away Feng Yu, the old man and the old woman chose to tacitly approve of these actions. Moreover, they intended to let Xiao Chen and Lin Yun leave so easily. Facing such an outcome, everyone in the Feng people had mixed feelings. If this happened here, it would be absolutely impossible. But now, no matter how bitter this bitter fruit was, they could only grit their teeth and swallow it. Seeing that many of his clansmen had chosen to remain silent, how could Feng Yu, who was captured by Xiao Chen, not know that he had been abandoned? In this place that he thought was the safest in the world, he was captured by an outsider in front of so many of his clansmen. But in the end, his clansmen did not even dare to let out a fart. They all chose to remain silent. This feeling was so desolate, as if the whole world had abandoned him in an instant. If even his own home was not safe, then where else in this world was safe? A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Feng Yu did not say anything because he knew that it was useless to say anything. His clansmen had all abandoned him. Feng Yu knew very well what it meant to be taken away by Xiao Chen, but at this moment, he had no choice but to face it. However, Feng Yu still did not understand. What was the difference between what he had experienced today and what Feng Ling had experienced back then? Back then, when her bloodline was taken away, Feng Ling was still like this. She faced the cold eyes of her clansmen. At that time, Feng Yu even placed his hopes on his clansmen and the elders. He hoped that they could uphold justice for him, but what did he attract in the end? It was the indifference of the elders and clansmen. They clearly knew the truth and process of the entire matter. However, no one was willing to stand up and speak up for him. In fact, when Feng Yu and his mother attacked him, only a few people could not stand it and helped him escape. That was all. And today, Feng Yu experienced the same thing as Feng Ling. He also put himself in the shoes of his clansmen and experienced the coldness and heartlessness of his clansmen. He brought Feng Yu away unhurriedly. Looking at the Feng people's land that was getting further and further away, Feng Yu's eyes unconsciously moistened. He was forcefully brought out of the Feng people just like that, and all the clansmen watched all of this without stopping them. Until Xiao Chen and the others boarded Feng Ling's spatial spirit ship, Feng Yu did not have any expression as if he had been killed. Looking at Feng Yu's appearance, Xiao Chen did not say anything. He had asked for it. Originally, he did not want to get involved in the Feng people's matter, but Feng Yu forcefully dragged Xiao Chen and Lin Yun into it, so he could only swallow this bitter fruit himself. Please collect, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 33-27. In the spatial spirit boat, Feng Yu looked at Feng Ling in front of him with cold eyes. Similarly, Feng Ling was also filled with killing intent towards him. However, because Xiao Chen and Lin Yun were still beside her, Feng Ling did not make any other moves. After all, Xiao Chen and Lin Yun still had to make the decision. They slowly drove away from the Feng people's land. On the way, Xiao Chen looked at Feng Ling and said, "Come and sit down." Since he had already captured Feng Yu, he might as well help Feng Ling once. Xiao Chen thought so in his heart. Anyway, his relationship with the Feng people was already like this. Moreover, Feng Yu's bloodline power originally belonged to Feng Ling. Hearing this, Feng Ling obediently sat in front of Xiao Chen, while Feng Yu was thrown over by Lin Yun. Looking at the actions of the three of them, Feng Yu suppressed the fear in his heart and shouted coldly, "What do you want to do?" Since some things belong to others, they naturally have to be returned to their original owners. In response, Xiao Chen said indifferently. His tone was very calm without the slightest fluctuation. Hearing this, Feng Yu instantly understood what Xiao Chen wanted to do and immediately shook his head. "No, you can't do this. Bloodline power." Xiao Chen actually wanted to extract his bloodline power. How could Feng Yu be willing to accept this? Once his bloodline power was extracted, he would completely become a cripple. This was worse than death. However, in the face of his resistance, Xiao Chen did not care at all. He turned a deaf ear and reached out to grab the back of Feng Yu's neck as he said unhurriedly, "What doesn't belong to you will never belong to you." As he spoke, Xiao Chen's spiritual power instantly surged into Feng Yu's body. Naturally, Xiaochen would not be gentle to him, so he used the most violent and simple method to forcefully extract his bloodline power. Although such a simple and crude action saved a lot of time and effort, it was extremely painful for Feng Yu. As his bloodline power was stripped away bit by bit, Feng Yu could not help but tremble violently, and his face instantly turned pale. The sweat on his forehead kept dripping down. The heart-wrenching pain made Feng Yu feel as if he had fallen into hell. However, all of this did not last for long. Soon, Xiaochen successfully extracted the bloodline power. What followed was a deep sense of weakness, as if all the bones in his body had been broken. He didn't even have the strength to raise his hand. He could only lie on the ground like a pile of mud, panting heavily. Feng Yu still had a breath left. Xiaochen ignored him. Holding the power of the bloodline in his hand, he turned to look at Feng Ling and said indifferently, "Hold your breath and focus. I will help you fuse with your bloodline power." Hearing this, Feng Ling immediately nodded. Subsequently, with the help of Xiaochen, she began to merge the bloodline strength. Because the bloodline energy belonged to Feng Ling, it was clearly much easier for Feng Ling to fuse with the bloodline energy when compared to Feng Yu. The two of them seemed to be born as one, so Feng Ling did not feel any resistance as the power of the bloodline fused into her body. Naturally, it became a part of him. After so many years, the bloodline power had been lost and recovered. Moreover, the bloodline power that was originally in Feng Yu's body had only truly displayed its power when it came to Feng Ling's body. After so many years, Feng Yu had only fused 1/10 of the power of the bloodline power, but Feng Ling was different. Therefore, with the fusion of the bloodline power, Feng Ling's cultivation was also crazily increasing. From the beginning of the warlord ancestor realm, she quickly rushed to the small accomplishment, and then to the advanced accomplishment. She still did not stop. Even Xiaochen was slightly surprised at this moment. It seemed that Feng Ling's talent was even higher than he had imagined. Her bloodline power was not simple, and Feng Yu was simply a piece of trash. He had seized her bloodline power, but after so many years, he was still unable to completely control it. No wonder after all these years, Feng Yu was still only at the small accomplishment of the warlord ancestor realm. If the bloodline power had always been in Feng Ling's hands, as long as she had enough opportunities, this girl would probably have a chance to break through to become a ruler. On the other hand, this also fully reflected the stupidity of the Feng people. They did not protect a true genius and actually chose a piece of trash. The same bloodline power, in Feng Yu's body, only turned him into an ordinary genius. However, in Feng Ling's body, she was definitely a top genius. In fact, she could even add another ruler to the Feng people. Moreover, it would be a terrifyingly talented ruler. This girl's talent is probably not as good as Huang Lin's. Looking at Feng Ling, who had fused with the bloodline power, Lin Yun, who was at the side, was also somewhat curious. Huang Lin was definitely the most talented person that Lin Yun had ever seen so far. Now, Feng Ling, who had recovered her bloodline power, was actually not inferior to Huang Lin in terms of talent. How could this not be surprising? It could be said that in the entire central region, it would be difficult to find a third person whose talent was comparable to Huang Lin's. The Feng people actually gave up on such a peerless genius just like that. Looking at Feng Ling, who had closed her eyes to cultivate, Xiaochen stood up. He had already helped Feng Ling fuse with the bloodline power, so Xiaochen could not help with the following matters. However, the bloodline power originally belonged to Feng Ling. Hence, she only needed to be given some time and there was nothing to worry about. As for Feng Yu, who was at the side, Xiaochen could not even be bothered to look at him. This guy was already a cripple. As Xiaochen forcefully extracted his bloodline power, Feng Yu's cultivation was almost crippled. Xiaochen was not even interested in killing such a person. He would let Feng Ling deal with it herself. Where are we going now? Lin Yun looked at Xiaochen with a chuckle and similarly ignored Feng Yu, who was at the side. In response, Xiaochen directly replied without hesitation. Let's go to the heavenly White Rock Lake. second sister, Lin Yuan, and the rest are probably waiting anxiously. Long Qing, Lin Yuan, Lin Hu, and the rest were still at the heavenly White Rock Lake. Lin Yan naturally did not have any objections to this. Just as the two of them were talking, an inexplicable aura suddenly rose from Feng Ling's body. This aura seemed to be the bloodline power, but it was different from the bloodline power of the Feng people. However, compared to the bloodline power of the ordinary Feng people, this power was obviously more powerful and had an ancient aura. It was as if it had traveled through time and space to descend here. The appearance of this aura stunned Xiao Chen and Lin Yun. Lin Yun couldn't help muttering as he looked at Feng Ling, who was enveloped by the bloodline power. Bloodline atavism? It was a little unbelievable that Feng Ling actually had such a bloodline power. It was really a surprise. At the same time, in the starry sky outside the spatial spirit boat, the bloodline power quickly condensed into a huge fire phoenix and let out a long cry. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 33-28. The huge fire phoenix dyed the starry sky red. Even the Feng people, who were extremely far away, could feel it. At this moment, in the Feng people's territory, the old man and the old woman were also looking at the distant starry sky with complicated gazes. The two of them could naturally feel that this aura was the bloodline power of the Feng people. However, this bloodline power had already reverted to its ancestors. Why was this so? It was probably because Feng Yu's bloodline power had been stripped away and returned to Feng Ling's body. Previously, Feng Ling had displayed great talent since she was young. This was also the reason why Feng Yu and his mother had attacked her. However, the two of them had never thought that Feng Ling's talent would be so great that it had even reached the level of bloodline reversion. It was worth noting that bloodline reversion was something that all Feng people dreamed of. Unfortunately, there were very few people in the history of the Feng people who could achieve this. The most recent person to achieve bloodline atavism was none other than the current Lord Star-Lord. In other words, the Feng people had forcefully forced a God-favored one who was on the same level as the Star-Lord out of the Feng people. If back then, the old man opened his mouth with a complicated expression, but in the end, he did not say anything. This was because at this point, there was no point in saying anything. Back then, they clearly knew the whole story and the truth, but no one was willing to stand up and speak up for Feng Ling. Even when Feng Yu and his mother were chasing after Feng Ling, no one from the Feng people said anything about stopping them. As such, it was obvious what Feng Ling's attitude toward the Feng people was now. Therefore, it was impossible for Feng Ling to acknowledge the Feng people, and the Feng people had missed such a peerless God-favored one for nothing. With the talent that Feng Ling had displayed, as long as the Feng people carefully nurtured her, the old man was confident that Feng Ling would break through to become a ruler. At that time, the Feng people would have another ruler, which would allow the Feng people to catch their breath. Not to mention, there were countless possibilities for a ruler like Feng Ling. Moreover, she was still so young. Looking at it now, comparing Feng Yu and Feng Ling, the difference was simply like heaven and earth. For so many years, he had possessed Feng Ling's bloodline power, but in the end, it didn't even have the slightest effect. It was like sitting on a mountain of gold, but there was nothing he could do about it. If he had known this earlier, the old man felt that he would definitely not have chosen Feng Yu back then. Instead, he would have unswervingly supported Feng Ling. Because compared to Feng Ling, Feng Yu was simply trash among trash. However, it was too late to say anything now. Everything had already been decided. Not only had he suffered heavy injuries, he had even let go of a true peerless genius. It was easy to imagine the feelings of the old man and old woman. Not only the two of them, but many experts from the Feng people were the same. Feeling the bloodline power coming from afar, all the experts from the Feng people fell into silence. The consecutive setbacks seemed to be telling the Feng people that their decline was a foregone conclusion, and no one could change it. The once insufferably arrogant Feng people seemed to be gone forever. And at least for a long time, the Feng people would not be able to regain their former glory. and the only chance they had was personally destroyed by the Feng people. Right now, Feng Ling was already thankful that she did not hate the Feng people, let alone help the Feng people. After all, no one would be able to let go of what the Phoenixes had done to her in the past. In addition to the Feng people, in the Phoenix clan's territory, Huang Yi also felt Feng Ling's bloodline power. After all, the Feng people and the Phoenix clan were of the same origin. Sitting in the courtyard and drinking tea, Huang Yi revealed a faint smile. Bloodline ancestral awakening? The Feng people actually have such a little fellow. It seems like the Feng and Huang Yi clans are bound together forever. Huang Yi seemed to have known that such a person would appear in the Feng people because there was already someone in Phoenix who had undergone bloodline ancestral awakening. This person was his daughter, Huang Lin. Since there was someone in Phoenix who had undergone bloodline ancestral awakening, the Feng people should also appear. This was the law of the Feng and Huang Yi clans, and it was also the will of the heavens. And Feng Ling was someone from the Feng people whose bloodline had undergone bloodline ancestral awakening, just like the previous Star Lord and Huang Yi. However, this time, the Feng people were simply blind to have forced such a person out of the Feng people. Xiao Chen and the others did not know what Huang Yi and the others were thinking. They headed all the way to the White Rock continent. Their speed was not fast, and along the way, Feng Ling's cultivation had successfully stabilized at the Greater Combat Ancestor realm. However, the increase in cultivation was secondary. More importantly, the return of the bloodline power made Feng Ling feel as if she had been reborn. Whether it was her talent or combat strength, there had been a qualitative change. If Feng Ling had broken through to the combat ancestor realm before, her strength could only be considered as the weakest among the many kings. But now, after the return of the bloodline, Feng Ling's combat strength was completely different from before. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was invincible among her peers. After completely fusing with her bloodline power, Feng Ling slowly opened her eyes. When she saw Xiao Chen, Feng Ling did not think much and immediately knelt down. "Senior, Feng Ling is willing to serve you for the rest of my life." This was what Feng Ling had decided from the beginning. Xiao Chen had avenged her and helped her regain her bloodline power. Feng Ling was willing to follow Xiao Chen. Hearing this, Xiao Chen did not immediately agree. Instead, he smiled and said, "You don't have to do this." "No, I've made up my mind." "I hope that you'll agree, Senior," Feng Ling said firmly. Now that she had taken revenge, Feng Ling had lost her direction. Following Xiao Chen seemed to be her only choice. Xiao Chen did not have much of an opinion about Feng Ling. Moreover, it was indeed a good thing to have her around. After all, with Feng Ling's talent and strength, it was certain that she would break through to become a ruler in the future. It could be said that she was a combat strength that could not be ignored. However, Xiao Chen did not want Feng Ling to make a decision so easily. Instead, he hoped that she could really think it through. "There's no rush. If you want to follow me, then follow me for the time being. As for the rest, we'll talk about it after you've thought it through." Hearing this, Feng Ling wanted to speak again, but this time, Xiao Chen did not give her a chance and interrupted her. "Also, I'll leave this guy to you. Whether you kill him or let him go, it's up to you." After saying that, Xiao Chen walked away, leaving Feng Yu for Feng Ling to deal with. At this moment, Feng Yu's eyes were filled with the flames of jealousy as he looked at Feng Ling. Why is it that I clearly possess her bloodline power, but the result is completely different? Why? Why can Feng Ling make the bloodline power revert to its ancestral state, but I can't do it? Please add it to your collection, monthly votes, and recommendation. Chapter 33-29. Feng Yu looked at Feng Ling with an unwilling expression. He had clearly snatched her bloodline power away from her. Moreover, after so many years, Feng Yu had tried countless methods, but he had never succeeded in activating the full power of the bloodline power. Just now, Feng Yu had seen with his own eyes that Feng Ling had only fused with the bloodline power, and her bloodline had directly undergone atavism. Feng Yu could not accept this no matter what. Could it be that he was really inferior to Feng Ling? The same bloodline power was useless to him, but was it so powerful to Feng Ling? This was the thing that Feng Yu could not accept the most. He was unwilling to admit that he was inferior to Feng Ling. Nonetheless, the truth would not change because of his denial. Feng Ling had regained her bloodline power and had successfully undergone atavism. Her talent and strength were completely different. Feng Yu could not compare to her at all. Moreover, after losing his bloodline power, Feng Yu was basically a cripple. It was like confirming a saying, if it was not yours, so what if you snatched it away? She looked at Feng Yu indifferently. Xiaochen had placed his life in her hands. Feng Ling did not hesitate and directly killed him. All these years, Feng Ling had thought of killing Feng Yu and his mother countless times to avenge herself. At the last moment of his life, there was not much fear in Feng Yu's eyes. This was slightly unexpected. There was no begging for mercy as expected. Facing death, Feng Yu seemed to be very calm. Nonetheless, when he was facing death, the only thing he was unwilling to accept was why he could not compare to Feng Ling. He had clearly put in so much effort, but in the end, it was like a joke. Feng Yu was dead. He was personally killed by Feng Ling. The group continued to advance toward the White Rock continent. Soon, they arrived at the heavenly White Rock Lake. Here, Xiaochen and Lin Yan met Long Qing, Lin Yuan, and the others. Seeing that Xiaochen and Lin Yan had returned safely, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had naturally heard about what had happened recently. Xiaochen and Lin Yan had successfully broken through to become rulers. This was naturally something worth congratulating. Little brother, big brother has sent back a message. He has successfully broken through to the Divine Ancestor realm and has been released back to the Eastern region. However, the old man has ordered him to make a trip to the Western region. Xin Yuanling and Li Tian had gone to the North region previously. Now, they had successfully broken through to the Holy Ancestor realm. Moreover, after studying in the Northern region for so long, the two of them should have gained a lot in the Tao of formations. However, at this time, the two of them had already rushed to the Western region. It was likely that the situation in the Western region was not too stable. As array masters, the two of them were far more useful than ordinary martial artists. Therefore, it was understandable that old man Dong Huang would transfer the two of them to the Western region. As long as Xin Yuanling was fine, Xiaochen was naturally not worried and nodded. I reckon that it won't be long before we have to leave for the Western regions. Huang Yi had told him some things about the Western region, and he had learned all of this from the Star Lord. The Azure Dragon Galaxy was clearly going to war with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. As the situation became more and more tense, rulers like Xiaochen and the others would have to rush to the front lines of the Western region sooner or later. This was understandable, and they could not refuse. After all, they were the top combat forces of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. In the face of such a war between two galaxies, Xiaochen and the others had no right to refuse. However, what Xiaochen did not expect was that the situation in the Western region was worse than he had expected. The actions of the Azure Dragon Galaxy had greatly exceeded his expectations. At this time, in the Western Palace of the Western region, there were already more than 20 rulers and more than 100 kings of the War Ancestor realm gathered together. They originally thought that there would be a buffer period, but the situation in the past few days had greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. In the main hall, the Eastern Emperor, the Western Emperor, and the other rulers sat together. Everyone's faces were filled with worry. Damn it, these guys are getting more and more overboard. Yeah, the movements of the Azure Dragon Galaxy are getting faster and faster. We can't let down our guard. That's right. We should mobilize more powerhouses as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the Azure Dragon Galaxy suddenly attacks, we might be caught off guard. The forces of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy in the Western region were already very powerful. Not to mention the Star-Lord and Elder Master Bai, there were more than 20 rulers. However, the Azure Dragon Galaxy was even more exaggerated. A few days ago, At the border of the two galaxies, the number of rulers in the Azure Dragon Galaxy was only slightly more than 10. However, after a few days, the number of rulers in the Azure Dragon Galaxy had already exceeded 30. What kind of concept was this? The strength of the two galaxies was actually not much different. 30 rulers already accounted for more than 80% of all the rulers in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. It was the same for the Azure Dragon Galaxy. With so many rulers gathered, there was no need to say what the Azure Dragon Galaxy wanted to do. Everyone knew what their intentions were. Moreover, other than the rulers, the number of kings of the War Ancestor realm was also increasing. Such a move naturally made the Fire Phoenix Galaxy have no choice but to be on guard. Just as everyone was discussing, suddenly, a king at the peak of the War Ancestor realm ran in with large strides. The expression on his face was very solemn, and there was even sweat on his forehead. To be able to make a king at the War Ancestor realm so nervous, it was obviously not a small matter. Seeing this, the West Emperor changed his usual cheeky expression and asked with a solemn expression, "What's wrong?" This king was from the West Imperial Palace. Faced with the West Emperor's question, this person took a deep breath and said loudly, "Something has happened. Something has happened to the space-splitting barrier." The space-splitting barrier was the border between the Azure Dragon Galaxy and the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. It separated the two galaxies and was also the only way to contact the two galaxies. At this moment, hearing that something had happened to the space-splitting barrier, everyone's expressions froze. One of the rulers asked, "What happened?" "The Azure Dragon Galaxy opened a passage and entered our side without permission. The news just came back that the two sides have already come into contact and a battle has broken out." As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. So fast? It had only been a few days, and the Azure Dragon Galaxy had already taken the lead. This was the first time the two sides had come into contact and a battle had broken out since the beginning of the confrontation. This was an extremely important signal because once there was a first battle, it was very likely that it meant that the war was about to begin. The collision of the two galaxies had truly begun at this moment. Thinking of this, the rulers looked at each other and could see a hint of seriousness in each other's eyes. Please collect, monthly vote, recommend. Chapter 33:30. All the rulers looked worried because it was a sign that a great war was about to begin. The battle between the two sides had yet to escalate to a full-scale war. In fact, the ones who were fighting were world lords and ancient life forms. To be honest, a battle of this level would not cause too serious a consequence to the two galaxies. However, they could not let their guard down at all because this was a sign. Right now, it was only a battle between ancient life forms and world lords. What about later? The kings and emperors of the War Ancestor realm would definitely be gradually implicated as well. At that time, it would be the time for a full-scale war between the two galaxies. Got it. Go down and closely monitor every movement of the barrier. After listening to the ruler's report, the West Emperor waved his hand and said. Hearing this, the king bowed respectfully and then left. At the same time, on the other side of the barrier, in the Azure Dragon Galaxy, a group of rulers from the Azure Dragon Galaxy had also gathered. However, compared to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, they seemed much more relaxed. The reason was very simple. This time, they were the ones who planned to cross the barrier and take the initiative to clash with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Therefore, the rulers of the Azure Dragon Galaxy were not too surprised by this. They had broken through the barrier and taken the initiative to cross the barrier to start a battle. This was also a test for them. It seems that the Fire Phoenix Galaxy is also prepared. Of course. How could the Fire Phoenix Galaxy not be prepared for a battle between two galaxies? Should we continue now? There's no point in such a small fight, right? It can't cause any substantial damage to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. A great war will break out in the end. Right now, both sides are just testing each other, testing each other's strength and attitude. As for how much damage will be caused to the other party, it's still too early. There's no rush. Let's do this for now. Let the people below act according to the situation. Many rulers said unhurriedly. After this probing battle, both the Azure Dragon Galaxy and the Fire Phoenix Galaxy had suffered losses. On the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's side, 2 ancient life forms were killed, and the Azure Dragon Galaxy was almost the same. However, the lives of a few ancient life forms were nothing to these rulers. Perhaps in a universe, ancient life forms were already very powerful existences. However, in a galaxy, ancient life forms were nothing. It couldn't even affect the overall situation. For the time being, they would continue to probe. As for rulers like them, it was not the time to make a move yet. The Azure Dragon Galaxy was not fully prepared yet. If a battle between rulers broke out at this time, neither side would want to see it. With the tacit approval of the rulers, the people below were naturally more unscrupulous. Ever since the first conflict broke out, the two sides had conflicts almost every single day. At first, it was only the Azure Dragon Galaxy's cultivators who entered the Fire Phoenix Galaxy through the space-severing barrier and took the initiative to attack. But as time passed, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's martial artists were clearly enraged and began to take the initiative to provoke. Moreover, while the Azure Dragon Galaxy remained silent, the martial artists of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy also began to cross the border and take the initiative to fight. Battles broke out more and more frequently, and the scale of the battles grew larger and larger. In the beginning, it was only a battle between a dozen or so people, but later on, it developed into a battle between hundreds and thousands of people. In addition to the increase in the number of people, the strength of the participating martial artists was also constantly increasing. In the beginning, only ancient life forms and a few world lords participated in the battle. Later on, more and more world lords also rushed to the front line. The level of the battle instantly increased. Even now, from time to time, holy ancestor powerhouses would appear. In yesterday's battle, the holy ancestor powerhouses of the Azure Dragon Galaxy and the Fire Phoenix Galaxy had appeared. Although there was only one person, there were too many hidden things behind it. With a holy ancestor powerhouse personally participating in the battle, there would definitely be a second, a third, and even more so, it would become more and more difficult to control. In fact, this was indeed the case. After the first holy ancestor powerhouse participated in the battle, the shadows of holy ancestor powerhouses could be seen in almost every battle. From the beginning to the end, there was only one holy ancestor powerhouse. Both sides lined up a holy ancestor powerhouse as if he was the leader. However, the number would definitely continue to increase. On this day, there was finally a change in the battle. The martial artists of the Azure Dragon Galaxy took the initiative to cross the barrier and broke out in battle with the martial artists of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Both sides were led by a holy ancestor powerhouse, but the Azure Dragon Galaxy took the initiative to change. After the first two holy ancestor powerhouses broke out in battle, a holy ancestor powerhouse suddenly appeared on the Azure Dragon Galaxy's side. The Fire Phoenix Galaxy naturally did not expect the sudden appearance of a holy ancestor powerhouse on the Azure Dragon Galaxy's side. If he didn't stop this divine ancestor, the consequences could be imagined. In such a battlefield where holy ancestor powerhouses were the strongest, an additional holy ancestor powerhouse was definitely enough to change the outcome of the battle. The target of this holy ancestor powerhouse was also very clear. He directly targeted the holy ancestor powerhouse of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. The two joined forces. After a fierce battle, the holy ancestor powerhouse of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was killed on the spot. After that, more than half of the remaining martial artists of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy were also killed. It was not until the reinforcements of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy arrived that the people of the Azure Dragon Galaxy chose to retreat. This was the first time a holy ancestor powerhouse had fallen on both sides. The news naturally reached the Western Imperial Palace as soon as possible. Upon hearing that a holy ancestor powerhouse had fallen on the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's side, The Western Imperial Emperor, Eastern Imperial Emperor, and the other sovereigns' faces turned ugly. The value of a holy ancestor powerhouse to a galaxy was far from what a world lord could compare to. The two were completely different. Perhaps the sovereigns would not care too much about the death of a world lord, but the fall of a holy ancestor powerhouse could not be treated casually. Moreover, after the first holy ancestor powerhouse fell, more and more holy ancestor powerhouses would fall. The situation kept escalating and getting out of control. It was not hard to imagine that the time for the two sides to go to war was not far away. However, before that, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would definitely take revenge. It was impossible for them to just let the matter rest. The Azure Dragon Galaxy had killed their holy ancestor powerhouse. Therefore, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would naturally kill their holy ancestor powerhouse. Please add this to your collection. Please recommend me. End of chapter. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.